The only thing we have to
Beer.
is
Beer.
itself.
Beer. So many choices.
We no function beer well without.
Woohoo! Beer! Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Busters, where we're going to bring you the news and reviews of some wonderful brews. My name is Dan Baker, joined as usual by my co-host and brewologist
Steph Hefner.
and the demented and fermented
Weyerbacher.
Today we have traveled to the outlands of the Philadelphia area. It was not as big of a drive for me and Wayne for once.
No, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, didn't have to take a highway. It was a nice scenic drive. People who didn't know how to make left turns, but a little better than Jersey at least.
Yeah, I was going to say, were you in Jersey?
No. We are, of course, in Berwyn, Pennsylvania. We are at Cabra Brewing. Very happy to be here. I had one of the best burgers I've ever had in my life, and I was really wondering when I was going to mention that, so why the hell not just at the
Right
top
at
of
the
the
top.
show?
Wasted no time.
Of course. It was worth talking about right away. But, of course, we have two guys with us who were kind enough to donate some time. We have...
Dan Poppernack.
I'm going to fight you over your name. And...
Chuck Golder.
Chuck. Dan, thank you so much for having us out here, guys.
I appreciate it.
And thanks for coming on to the show with us, too, besides just having us out here. There's a lot that we have to get into. I know we've got a sipping beer here that I really want to talk about because I'm thirsty as anything. This is a Kolsch, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
All right, cool. I took one sip earlier, and it was amazing.
It's
You
delicious.
Cheated. You cheated.
It's amazeballs.
I did cheat.
Yes.
Oh, this is so good.
It's really good.
It's the perfect spring beer.
It is the perfect spring beer, and it's got a nice hop character to it. Because like a nice sort of like
That
bold,
bitter punch.
bold yet very drinkable.
Bold.
And this is called Clipper.
As Clipper?
I was going to ask if it had like an official name.
Like lawnmower clipper.
Exactly.
Oh, that makes sense.
You see what we did there?
Big stretch.
I see what you did there.
A clipper for clipping.
Yep.
Is this on just for spring, or is it a year-round beer?
I mean, honestly, with just opening 6 months ago, we're working on recipes. We're working through styles. We kind of brew whatever the heck we want, which is nice. So a couple things we'll try to keep on tap more often. But when it comes to a Kolsch, if we're in the mood to brew one, we brew one.
Right. Well, this would be a great flagship beer. I mean, this is, standard, easy drinking. Like, I think it would appeal to a broad audience, and great for spring, summer, fall, or winter, I think.
Yeah, with the brew house as it is, we look at each other and say, what do we need next?
Yeah.
And we look ahead and say, let's
That's
get
what we're
something
gonna
on
do.
for the warm weather. Here it is.
Yeah, basically, Chuck just tells me what to brew.
Yeah,
That's how that
mostly
goes.
true.
Yeah.
How do I get that job?
I know, right?
Very easily. We'll see how this goes.
Yes. I have pink boots already.
your
you
application
haven't
in
worn them
now.
pink boots
Yeah.
in a while.
Well, before we get into too much else, I, of course, want to thank Audible for their continuing support. Remember, you can go to audibletrial.com/beerbusters for your own complimentary 30-day Audible account where you get to look at the entire library, not even just like a sliver that they're saying, here's some of what we have. You can choose whatever book you want.
Any book that has ever been written in the history of humankind.
Yes,
No, that's
just
not
about.
true.
Well, maybe. But you get
Give
to,
or take.
Give or take a few. But you get to
shouldn't
go
advertise
through, you get
stuff
to
that's not true.
listen to that book, even if you don't end up keeping your Audible account, which you should, because you want to read more books, but you don't have time, so let somebody else do it to you. But even if you decide, you know what, audiobooks are not for me, after that 30-day trial is done, you get to keep that book. So the worst thing that happens is you get a free book out of the deal. That's
And your ears will be happy.
and your ears will be very happy. Remember, that's audibletrial.com/beerbusters.
Yeah, and if that number on your bank account is a little bigger than you're comfortable with, why not throw a couple of bucks our way by going to patreon.com/beerbusters, where you can learn how to become a patron and help support the podcast. You can donate as little as $1 a month and get cool behind-the-scenes perks and other bits of awesomeness, and a little foreshadowing. After today's Happy Fun Time games, we're going to throw a little question to our audience regarding Patreon, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned indeed.
We also have some awesome shit coming up. And by shit, I mean events. On Sunday, April 23rd, you can find us.
I don't know. I got an awesome shit coming up in about 4 hours.
Wow.
I just took our mind.
Never mind. Moving on. Yeah.
Okay. On April 23rd, you'll find us at Imminent Liquidation, recording an awesome podcast episode there and drinking a lot of awesome beers. April 29th, one of our favorite fests, Little Big Beer Fest, will be back on stage there, drinking all of the wonderfully luscious and high-alcohol
I am
brews.
super excited for Little Big Beer Fest. That's like one of my top 3 favorite beer fests ever.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then Saturday, May 20th, we will be slinging teas at the Schuylkill County Brewfest. And Saturday, June 24th, we'll be at the Ephrata Brewfest. So come find us and get your high five.
Definitely do that. Well, we've got a lot to do. A lot of things that we need to get to. A lot of beer that needs to be had. So why don't we just do this? Couple of things I saw in the world of news to pass along. For starters, big story involving two breweries that we have had on in the past. One of them has a guy who's represented several different breweries with us. So, of course, that's only Cape May Brewing Company.
Slimy
Sauce, of course. Cape May Brewing Company, the Jersey Shore's premier local brewery, is excited to announce
Weyerbacher.
an upcoming collaboration.
It happened today.
With one of the region's leading breweries. But yes, they
Really
are.
took the wind out of
Really
your
did.
sails there, didn't
Spoiler
you?
alert.
Yes. But they are doing a collaboration with Weyerbacher, who is, of course, out of Easton, Pennsylvania, to deliver what will be an Indian Pale Lager. It's going to be called Paradise 160, and it's going to be released on draft on May 19th. As we move into our 6th year, this is a really exciting time for us, says CNBC co-owner and president Ryan Krill. Partnering on
Nice guy.
He was. Partnering on our first collaboration with such a well-established brewery as Weyerbacher means that we'll be able to gain some of their knowledge of the brewing process, and they'll benefit from our innovation and dedication to variety. And we get to brew a beer we've always wanted to brew with a brewery we've always looked up to. So Weyerbacher, of course, was founded in 1995 in Easton, Pennsylvania, and they soon determined that their place in the market was involving big beers, as we know very, very well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm surprised they're not doing like an imperial or, triple barrel aged something or other.
Yeah. But of course, they want to do their big beers that set them apart from the others, such as Blithering It, Last Chance IPA, Merry Monks, and God knows how many else. And the Paradise 160, there's a lot of other good information in here, but Paradise 160 is going to be a high-octane IPL inspired by the fact that 160 miles separate Cape May from Easton.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah, the two brewing powerhouses have taken that basic style and dry hopped it with two particularly exotic hop varieties, Wakatu from New Zealand and Hellertau from Germany.
We used that when we brewed with Josh.
We did, yes.
Wakatu.
And it's fun to say.
Wakatu. What are the other fun ones to say?
Hellertau. Matueka.
Matueka's a good one.
White Maya.
There you go.
Ah.
There's a glottal stop in the middle there. White Maya.
Yeah. I can't even say.
Cascade.
Cascade's always good, yeah.
Sorry, never mind.
Citra. Citra.
He's got to get a running start. He's got to get a running start.
But keep an eye out for that one. That's going to be out in May, which is very, very cool. I'm assuming it'll be on tap at both places. I really hope that they decide to distribute it in other ways, because I'm not exactly near Easton or Cape May, and I want to try this beer. So Slimy Sauce, you know what you got to do.
Yeah, he can save some for us.
Yeah. Last episode, we had some information from Brewers Association on.
We did?
Why not again?
All right.
Let's
do
do
it.
Is this another list?
It is not a list. No. It's an infographic, though, that we'll have to get up on the website.
Oh.
But it's just about steady growth for small and independent brewers in the U.S. We officially have 5,300 breweries operating during 2016.
Wow.
That many. Still, I don't think the largest amount per capita in all the history of the country, but pretty impressive. But in 2016, craft brewers produced 24.6 million barrels and saw a 6% rise in volume on a comparable base and a 10% increase in retail dollar value. The dollar value was estimated at $23.5 billion, which represented 21.9% market share. They added 1.4 million barrels, which made the growth outpace the 1.2 million barrels lost from the craft segment based on purchases by large brewing companies. And there's a nice little infographic that breaks it down, and it has, as far as the volume share for craft beers, 2011 we were at 5.7%, 2012 was 6.5%, 2013 when we started this little podcast.
I'm going to say we had something to do with that, right? That year?
Just wait.
Oh.
2013 was 7.8%, 2014 11%.
That's the Beer Busters bump
That
right
was
there.
the Beer Busters bump. You are welcome.
Single-handed.
Of course.
Single-handedly humanizing the brewing industry.
Yes.
Triple-handed.
Yes.
I see what you did there.
2015 saw us get to 12.2%, and 2016 was 12.3%. So not a huge growth in volume, but still a growth, which still counts.
Continuing.
Yeah. And then you have barrels produced. 2009, 9.1 million. 2010 was 10.1. Pretty steady increase. Now, 2013 to 14 was 15.6 to 22.1 million.
That Beer Busters bump again.
There it is. And then up to the 24.6 that we are in now.
You're welcome,
It's a
guys.
conspiracy theory. The truth is out there.
The truth
Yes.
is out there, yes.
Couldn't do it without you.
With 5,301 total breweries, that is a 17% increase over the amount in 2015. I really want to know. I'm very
Who's that
interested to
one?
see. Well, yeah, who's the one?
Who's that one? Yeah.
But also, what's going to
you
happen?
guys.
Oh, could be.
What'll happen at the end of 2017?
Well, you know what? I was actually just thinking right now. what's interesting as craft beer gets bigger and bigger, like I feel like the line between like what is, craft beer and what is macro beer is kind of blurring.
To an extent, yeah.
You have Miller Coors and InBev and everyone else, but is there a point where, like, because Yuengling is now officially considered craft beer, we all know Sam Adams, and they keep pushing the line of what is officially a craft brewery to accommodate them. And I think you're coming to a point now where you're going to have companies that aren't as big as InBev, but giant craft beer companies. And does that mean, is it still craft beer? Like, I think there's going to be a fuzzy gray area more and more.
Well, to me, it depends on, too, where the bigger companies, what they plan on doing with the smaller craft breweries that they acquire. I mean, most of them are just distribution deals, more or less. And maybe adding a production facility, but I still don't. They're not going to go over the 6 million barrel limit to be considered craft.
And I don't so much think it's going to be like companies that own several brewery brands, but companies like Stone and Rogue that are giant,
huge,
nationally and internationally distributed craft beers. It comes to a point where, they both make really good beer, but I think just the idea of like what is a craft beer is kind of changing, and I think I feel like there's a third category now. Like you have your small time local breweries, which is driving a lot of this 5,000 some odd breweries. There's a lot of local neighborhood breweries opening up, but now you have like sort of the middle ground,
large regional,
and national craft breweries, and then you also have your conglomerates like Budweiser and things like that.
Yeah, and there's you could wax philosophical about where's that imaginary line? Is it volume? Is it branding? Is it the styles you're doing? It's really looking at it like large regional breweries. Their purpose, and I'd say maybe that line between what makes craft and macro. One thing, especially in PA, we're lucky to have a Brewers Guild that's very active. So even you look at a Yuengling, you look at a Victory and Trogs, the amount of work that they do to lobby for small brewers.
Right.
I mean, they don't think of themselves as macro. They may operate that way. They may put out that barrelage, but they're still showing up to meetings and helping guys like us do what we need to do. I don't have time to go to Harrisburg. I wouldn't know what to do. So it's that mentality. Like for me personally, that mentality of just they're still looking back and helping to be part of Pennsylvania, even if they're sending beer to California, Virginia, what have you. They really drill down and help the industry here. So maybe it's that mentality,
more of a philosophy, and not so much about the numbers.
Sure, it's still vague, but
Well, and I think it's also the difference between like looking at other brewers as competition as opposed to partners. You know what I mean? I feel like once you start, looking at fellow breweries as your competition, that they need to be beaten, and helping them is not helping yourself, then you've sort of crossed the line where you're no longer a part of the community. Now you're just a cold, empty company.
I haven't met the guy that thinks that yet, but
I think the consumer
part of the reason.
Consumers actually differentiate fairly well. I think in the end, you can call yourself a craft brewer at a macro level, but I don't think anyone's really necessarily buying that. So when you stretch the terms to meet your needs, when people come to La Cabra in Berwyn, or they go to the Wegmans to pick up a 6-pack of lager, they know the difference between one and the other. I think that really, whether or not that has something to do with it a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And I also kind of think that, like, in the end, it doesn't really matter.
Sure. What does it taste like?
Is it good beer? Is it a cool place? Are they good people? Do you enjoy supporting this company? Do you enjoy drinking their beer? That's what matters.
And that's what separates the macro from the local craft brewery.
Yeah.
It's not just about the beer. It's about the experience. It's about the people. It's about the food.
Well, the macro has an experience, too, and Lord knows I've said this enough. If I tailgate a Phillies game or something...
But that experience is completely different.
It's a shared experience still. I want to tailgate. I want to drink a Miller Lite or a Coors Light with a couple of friends on a hot summer day outside a Phillies game waiting to go inside.
I think they might let me in a Mick Ultra ad. Just kind of walking through the backward awkwardly, like Zach Galifianakis, like watching all the lifestyle types.
I think
they
so.
might let me in one of those. Yeah. One thing that's interesting, particularly paying attention to advertising and narratives, and what the stories that are being told, even from a macro level. I guess I'll go back to my English major days, but appropriating narratives.
Right.
And one ad in particular really sticks out to me. Stella's nice beer. I enjoy Stella. But yeah,
they have Matt Damon now.
What's that?
They have
they?
Matt
Oh,
Damon.
They got
Just
the Damon
saying.
bump.
Oh
Just
my!
saying.
Now I like Stella too.
But they have this ad as this scrawny little French guy sitting by a barrel perfecting his recipe. And it's almost like appropriating this like two guys from the garage narrative that craft brewers use to grow their brands. So you're starting to see more of this going back to the people eating Blue Moon. You know, guys schlepping oranges around the town. So kind of telling that human story and using those old narratives. So what that means for beer in general, if we can use those stories again as a small brewer, I don't know. But it's just kind of interesting, kind of cherry picking some of those stories that craft brewers used for a lot of years to make ourselves, you know, like we're just guys too, but it's that old trope that you see trotted out a little bit.
Right, yeah.
I have my own conspiracy theories too, I guess.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Let's put the tinfoil hats on, guys.
Yeah, yep.
Getting deep.
The government's watching. Be careful.
So, TLDR, drink good beer.
Drink whatever beer you want. We appreciate good beer, but I mean, if you want to drink something else, drink something else. Mostly because I don't want people to yell at me because I want to drink Miller Lite outside of Phillies game.
You can drink Miller Lite
Judge
outside
not.
of Phillies game. Go for
All right.
it.
People
All right.
or person?
Mostly person.
Person?
He learns quick. Well, that's all I had in
Damn
the
English
world
teacher.
of news. Yeah, right. But of course, as we've already mentioned, we are here in Berwyn. We are at La Cabra. And so far, I'm really loving it here, and I don't see that changing. The food is amazing. The Kolsch is awesome. I can't wait to see what's coming up next. And I think one of you guys said earlier, you've only been open about 6 months, huh? Mm-hmm. So that puts us at, October of last year, roughly? Until 2016? All right.
Yeah, made it through the holidays.
How's it been so far?
It's been very good. It's really part of it. I haven't had a chance to slow down and really realize the fact that it's 10 years of planning to get to this point. It's 10 years of planning the concept and thinking about it. It was a year of getting partners together and figuring that out. 2 years of looking for real estate. It was a long process to get here, and I don't think I've really been able to slow down to actually appreciate it. I don't know when that day comes.
It doesn't look like it's
I don't
on the horizon.
No.
Soon.
Yeah, so it's
At
always
this rate.
get through the holidays, then get through the holiday slump, and then get through festival season coming up. And I think I'm going to do that for a couple of years now. So it's going very well, but I haven't really had time to reflect back on if it's going all that well or not.
It's like, is it like if you ever get a chance to stlow down and stop, you're going to be like, oh my God, all this shit has happened. Like the weight of it, you just realize what's going on.
Just walk out the door. Nope. See ya. That's as good as it gets, man.
And
That's
then
as good as it gets.
piano music plays. Yeah. This is a beautiful location. This is the first time I've been here, and I'm pretty sure it's the first time
Same
you've been
here,
here, Dan. Yeah. Beautiful building, great spot. We met Chris earlier today, who was part of the designing and building.
He always sneaks in.
Chris Linton has
Son of a
a
bitch.
unique ability to inject himself
So,
into every
hey guys, I built this place. Hey guys.
Yeah. As soon as
every
you see a
single
microphone
article
or a camera.
Always Chris Linton, HRA Builders.
Yeah.
Look him up.
So we'll get his plug out of the way. Chris
Yeah.
is a phenomenal brewery builder.
That's great.
Yeah.
From our end in the construction, taking the original building, the front side of this building is 130 years old, but also in the back there's a tremendous amount of creative engineering and reworking to get a brewery and a kitchen in a 130-year-old building that was a futon store before this.
Oh wow.
Futon store.
Futon and
Yes.
Asian decorations, the Pearl of the East.
Wow.
Futon market is hot.
So let's just get the Chris thing out of the way.
Yeah.
He did a great job.
Thank you,
Can't be
Chris.
that hot.
Phenomenal
They're not
guy.
here anymore.
Hope he builds a lot more breweries, but not too many. And we'd all the early press. It would always be a matter like Chris Linton's name would come up like first thing before my name. Like, all right, man. Yeah,
Got to put a stamp on it.
exactly. That he did.
Speaking of the space, I mean, we can see through these windows here. The brewery itself.
You can see through those windows?
Yeah, you can see through. That's how windows work.
Get out of my head.
We considered one-way mirrors, but didn't.
That's
for such an
that
occasion.
one way into the brewery or out.
Not
that's-
sure,
Yeah,
really.
that's.
Yeah, I'm in the
Depends on the
fishbowl.
day.
I'm in the fishbowl back there a little bit.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of brewers are. I mean,
Well, those roll up too. So
Oh, okay.
I've been very lucky not to be heckled too bad. I was like during construction, just waiting for people to open. Like, yo, beer man,
Yeah.
you're out of beers.
What's that thing?
Yeah, exactly. Every once in a while, it'll happen. It's fine. You're kind of performing back there.
Yeah,
And as soon as it opens, we have to be ready to turn and face the public. But that's been good so far. Honestly, I like seeing people walking down these stairs, and if it's somebody holding a baby, or if they have a little kid, and they're kind of like, first of all, hearing them explain the brewing process,
Yeah, it's
priceless.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Priceless. It'll always be like, it'll be a group of three guys, and one of them will kind of be like he's the alpha male, and he's like explaining like, that fat, think that's where I distill it. Like, you got it all figured out, man. Right back there. Yeah, but honestly, it's having people walk right up there, and every once in a while, I'll pop my head out and say hi. It's a nice it's a nice experience to be that close.
pretty
to people,
awesome.
The guest.
we've sort of commandeered this and made this the podcast room tonight. But do you guys generally have like is this like a? I mean, I can say an event space is not very big, but do you generally have like seating in here where people can sit and watch the brewery?
Yeah, this room we call it the mezzanine. It's more or less become a small gathering area.
Okay.
We reserve the second floor more or less as a casual happy hour style spot. So it's high tops and dartboards and a fireplace. It's a really cool, relaxed vibe. So we do accommodate happy hour groups from sort of all over the area. We encourage it. If you want to book your happy hour, please email me.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. But
That's why you guys are here, man. It's fine.
If I didn't take advantage of it anyway. And it also becomes our pressure release valve. So when we go on a wait time downstairs during a busy dinner, everyone comes up here, has a bite, has a pint, relaxes, and they don't really think about waiting. They're just hanging out, enjoying their time. So the mezzanine specifically, we do accommodate groups of 20 to 25. Other than that, it gets a little cozy, so we start sending them up to the second floor. But yeah, very versatile space, lots of character, awesome outlet for all kinds of different groups.
Definitely very cool.
Yeah, the brewery and the building itself is one thing that we don't mind bragging about because we didn't build it. I mean, it's
okay.
that wall's 130 years old, so it was a lot of just taking stuff out and revealing. I think people have responded well to that, just leaving things alone.
So Dan, I'm curious to hear your story because I know you were originally an English teacher, and then you were a home brewer for quite a while who made a reputation for yourself, and now professional brewer.
Yeah, it's I right out of school I was teaching English and Spanish. I was working at a private school, and with home brewing, and on the weekends, working at the beer yard down in Wayne, and just meeting so many people from the industry, bar owners, brewery owners, brewers, everyone in distribution, from all phases of the beer industry. I got really plugged in with them, while I was also teaching at the same time. So that transition was helped a lot. Especially, I would be remiss if I didn't name Matt Geyer from the Beer Yard. He's a business mentor of mine, personal mentor in all the bad ways. But he was a tremendous help to me. And just getting me in a room with people, he would always kind of make me come out of my shell a little bit and go and just see that guy over there. He owns such and such a brewery. You should go talk to him. And he would trot me out, to get that information. So in that, the two things I see is pretty fundamental in the transit. People are like, well, what was it going from being a teacher to a brewer? The brewing is, probably about 15% of what I do with my time. A lot more of it's running a business, working with Chuck in the front of house, and overseeing operations here. The brewing is a really fun part, and that's there's a lot of people who brew beer, but it's also working with a team of people who can run an operation like this. That's for me. That's the crazier part, is actually being a brew pub owner or overseeing all this. This is a very foreign thing for me. Brewing itself it's nice. It's my even a bad day brewing is better than a good day. I don't know, running a restaurant. But it's
that is true. I can tell you that for sure.
English class?
Yeah, I don't mind. I miss teaching. There's parts of teaching I don't miss, but being around the students I definitely miss. This is the first. Actually, I've been out for 2 years now, but it's just the experience of being around kids before Christmas. As an adult, you're like, I got to buy gifts. It's snowing. There's salt on my car. Blah, blah. But being around kids before Christmas and seeing how excited they get, they go apeshit about Christmas. That part I miss. Also summer's off. Apparently that doesn't happen anymore. Yeah. We haven't really gotten to that point yet.
But when you own a business or are a brewer or both.
Yeah, but again, in that transition, being plugged into an industry that is so much bigger than what we're doing and has existed a long time before we came, to me, that's the more dizzying part. The brewing is pretty mechanical. Right.
So if the brewing is what you brought you into this, why the pub too? Was the food aspect of it always so as important?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to start a brewery. There's a lot of ways to start a brewery and be happy with it. You can go into a warehouse. You can do food trucks. You can do a huge warehouse where you're distributing outside and don't really have a tap room all that much. For me, I'm just one of the reasons I got into brewing in the first place was just cooking and enjoying cooking, playing around with things, and then I just wanted to kind of be the only guy who brews beer. Everybody's like, I love my ribs recipe. Congratulations, that's great. But getting into brewing, especially, I quickly realized it was one of those things you could work on your entire life. And something like a Kolsch or a Pils or something so damn simple, you could work on your entire life and never really be happy with it or never think you perfected it. That kind of chasing the dragon of making cool beers or making perfect beers, it got me into it. It's that part of it has always stayed with me, and even now working with Chuck and having people around me who know beer, who are passionate about it, and having them, our sensory panel in the brewery, I wouldn't say it's brutal. I don't think it's brutal drinking beer together.
It's terrible.
It's terrible.
It's the worst.
Is it more me or you?
Yes.
But talking about other breweries and seeing them talk, it's guys who I think are doing a great job, and I hope that we can either we're doing a great job or we'll learn how to do a great job. You hear them say it's all about honesty with your own craft, and never thinking that something's done.
Yeah,
and that part of it
always
is
learning.
Yeah, that part of it that really drew me into this industry. You have a lot of creative people who are the work's never done.
Right.
That's a good place. That's a good space to be in.
And it's got to be fun to work with a chef who is so innovative and comes up with these amazing dishes, and then you come up with such great beers, and it's a nice pairing. I mean, you have a very unique concept here. I mean, we've talked about this on the show before. You go to some breweries and you're like, I'm going there for the beer. We're going to go somewhere else to eat. But like we came early purely because I wanted to eat here. You come here for the food and for the beer. So you offer something that's very unique that a lot of craft breweries I don't think have perfected quite yet.
Yeah, I think that's really the point of, driving towards is that for me having that creative outlet. If I were just brewing beer, that'd be great. I think I might get bored. Mm-hmm. I honestly think I might just be like, that's great. What can you do after you make beer? You perfect, like, just make more of it. What are you going to do from that point? Just make more,
part of the
more
fun is having the place, the destination to serve that beer to people, and to create more than just a brewery, but an awesome place to hang out.
Yeah, hospitality.
Yeah.
And there's certain principles that, especially Chuck, brings to the table. There's certain core principles, whether this for an Applebee's or the French Laundry or whatever we are,
or a futon store.
Or a futon store.
Yes.
The hospitality part takes care of itself then, doesn't it? Yeah,
So.
We should have kept some futons around here. No, but it's that idea of having people come in, we try to make a warm place, make it welcoming. If I were just in a warehouse, personally for me, there's nothing wrong with that, but just for me, I wouldn't feel all that fulfilled if I couldn't screw around with food for the rest of my life too.
Yeah,
if I get to talk about beer and food for the rest of my life, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Dan's being modest and skipping over the fact that he's as passionate about food and can actually make a mean meal. Had a lovely New Year's Day, dinner together. But what that translates to within the operation is that knowing food as well as he does alongside beer, and then
I annoy the hell out of Chef.
Oh, Chef, yeah, Chef. Sometimes Dan's
Just
a lot
shut
to
up and
deal
make
with.
the beer. Let me do this.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is what it does is it translates to, I'm passionate about beer and food and service, and Dan's passionate about food and beer and service. And so instead of having these little silos, everyone is as into each other's portion of the business, and in that way, everything trickles down at the same rate, and the end result, our goal, is that the consumer and the guest enjoy, all aspects of it. They walk out saying that was the best damn Kolsch I ever had, along the best damn burger I've ever had, and my server, kicked ass. So that's really our ultimate goal, and Dan's sort of setting that sandbox up for us to play in is really what's allowed us to do that. We've been empowered to do this.
Did you hear that metaphor? That was beautiful.
Where do you think he got it from?
We spent a lot of time in the office together, so we speak the same language.
Well, no, we just had our second beer dinner, and
I was going to ask if you guys did those, so I'm glad you.
Yeah. It's we had our first one back in March, and then we just had our last one, and it's one of those things where it's a 12-person event. There's not a lot of money in it. I don't even want to look at that. Yeah, but it's just one night where I wonder what's happening on the floor while we're doing that, because Chuck, John, and I are up here personally serving it, and it's once a month, and it's really refreshing. We love doing what we do every day, but just to have one night where the three of us are personally come up here and walking beers in. I'm clearing plates. Chef is bringing up his kitchen staff. That's it. Again, I really, that's something we're going to stick to, because that's the heart of what we're doing. Yeah. Those 12 people, they're getting the best work from the three people who have really created this place.
Yeah, and even if it's not financially a super profitable thing to do, I mean, you're serving those 12 people. Those 12 people are going to get an amazing experience. They're going to come back. They're going to tell other people, and you're going to be able to showcase the great beer and the great food and the great environment. And it's the perfect way to sort of advertise directly.
It's just as fulfilling for us too. Yeah. I mean, it's fun. If you don't enjoy that, then you're not in hospitality.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You need to do a vegetarian beer dinner, just saying.
Vegetarian beer dinner?
Mm-hmm.
And then do a no vegetable one at all for me.
Chef John at cabrabrewing.com.
Yeah. All request. He loves request. Yes.
Most chefs do, right?
Totally.
You guys do pad thai?
Oh, wow.
I'm a level 5 vegan. I don't eat anything that casts a shadow.
What
not leave you any options.
what does a vegetarian beer dinner look like? Tell me what that looks like.
It looks like a real beer dinner, but more disappointing.
I was gonna say, it looks boring.
You have to go
What are we
to
getting
Burger
here?
King and McDonald's
Less
afterwards.
fulfilling, yeah.
Olive tapenade.
Really?
Yeah,
We'll work on it.
Let's speak it into existence.
I'll talk to Chef John.
Yeah. Well, if anything,
Sorry.
actually, to be fair, I think it provides a unique challenge because you're setting a limitation, but it's not an arbitrary limitation. Like it's a legitimate limitation.
That's a very
that you have to work
diplomatic
within.
thing to say.
Well, and because we rag on Steph a lot about her vegetarianism, but I don't honestly think vegetarians are dumb. Like I think it's a perfectly legitimate thing. And I think a vegetarian.
That's a really loaded statement.
Getting some good looks over
That's
here.
yeah.
Steph is
They're totally not dumb.
Should I back up? So I think maybe I'm going to have a press release tomorrow, a press conference to apologize.
You're going to be on CNN
for these comments.
While
Yeah.
we're on the subject, just to point out for anyone that wants to join us here, we do accommodate vegetarianism to a pretty good degree to the
They
point
have
where...
a lot of great vegetarian options
Thank
here.
you. We did challenge Chef to create a vegetarian burger that didn't
With
suck.
fried plantains.
With fried plantains on it, and it's
Just saying.
delicious. So
It is.
please come and join us,
It sounds
even
pretty
if you're
good. I
vegetarian.
won't lie.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah, the spring version, I think, is even better. The biggest thing with the herbivorous burger, what we're trying to do is actually make the experience of biting into, it's actually a juicy kind of like, I know this isn't good for me burger. Vegetarian veggie burgers I've had, just you bite into them, it's not that same feeling that you're
Cardboard.
like, you don't feel like this.
You
is,
need to come to my house.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
We're down.
Vegetarian beer
We'll have
dinner.
the vegetarian beer dinner at my house.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Okay.
That's my
Perfect.
favorite beer dinner.
We can get 12
vegetarian
people.
beer dinner.
You could
12
easily
people
get
around
12
the pool table?
We get
Write
more
that
than
down.
12 people.
We'll put
come.
that to the patrons.
Yeah.
Okay. Patrons,
It's
these
a patron-only
guys.
event.
Okay. Sounds
There we
good.
go.
We're
Yeah,
doing
we
it.
So anyway, talking a lot about
Tofu. Just a ton of tofu.
I can do it without any tofu. Challenge accepted.
You can do it
don't
without any
want
tofu?
Yeah, she could.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really? All right.
You need
Radishes?
tofu.
Beets? Where do you get
You
the
want some beets?
Stop.
I love beets.
I
it
love
go.
beets.
So if you've done
is great radio.
the beer dinner,
This is Dan trying to get us back
No.
on track.
Killing it.
I thought of something. So if you do the beer dinners,
Give it a thought.
does your chef do any recipes with the beers in them, like a beer cheese or something?
Yeah, that's honestly, it's one of those things with his adjustment into beer. The thing I love the most about Chef, he works extremely hard, and just like Chuck and I, he knows what he doesn't know. And so he wasn't a huge beer guy walking through our door. But during the summer, as we were kind of getting our act together, even before opening, we brought him on how many months ahead of time?
Yeah, like 3 months or so,
3 months,
3 or 4
just
months.
just
yeah.
to work together, doing things around here, making sure we had all of our ducks in a row before we got open. He's there carrying grain downstairs with us, learning about beer, brewing on the homebrew system, learning how to do it, and talking to him about how beer fits into gastronomy. I have some pretty crisp opinions about beer and food and what actually works. It's one of those things where if you don't really know beer or know what flavors are there or chemically, hoppy things don't always cook that well. It cooks all
Don't
the nice.
cook with hops.
Yeah, so the one time he took some. He wanted to make bread with Oh my god, that's punishing. He wanted to make bread, so he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get some yeast." And it's like it goes to the bottom. We had an IPA fermenting, and he pulled some of the cake off of the IPA. So it's all
make bread?
Yeah, to make bread.
Yeah.
And so you bite into it, and like for a second it tasted all right. Then you just got this like tinfoil punishing
The
destruction on
most
your tongue.
bitterness you could.
Yeah. So just him learning how to work with it, and it's not just a matter of like throwing beer into cheese soup and like, oh, we're a brew pub. He takes the grain, he eats it, he works through it. He makes a brewer's cookie here, using a lot of brewer's grains in the vegetarian burger as well, and working things in. He did an imperial stout ice cream, but like I had to be brewing. Well, yeah, novel
It's really
idea.
good. We can probably dig it up for you. if you
Yeah.
want some.
Oh, really?
There might be some left.
The creme brulees? You better get them now.
I'm sure we can find some.
Yeah. Well, no, but like I have.
He has the fat kid face right now.
Well, get your fat
Same.
kid
I have
on
that
then.
face all the time.
Yeah. Yes. All right, touche. He got you back. No, but like the other day, I was brewing our coffee porter, and I'm there vorlofting, and he knows he walk up to the Grant and pull some of the wort off, and go and cook with it. So it's inquisitive. He learned. He obviously has an incredible sense of flavors, but then he also allowed us as guys who know a little bit more at beer to steer him in the right direction. So we're just getting
He's
started.
done a
on
great
that
job.
front.
He's done a fantastic job getting involved and learning and going outside of his normal comfort zone, which is a great opportunity for him and also awesome, for everyone who's eating all his food. It's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, it doesn't suck either.
Yeah.
So obviously you've got your amazing chef who's developing all the food and the menu. I'm interested in the beer recipe process because I know earlier you said that Chuck tells you what to brew and you brew it. So what is the recipe development process like for you guys?
As far as there's a couple things it's two different paths there as far as recipe formulation and what we're brewing. Up on the floor with our stainless steel fermentation, and also we're getting we have some puncheons. We're getting some more puncheons for barrel fermentation for saisons. That's really guided by Chuck's ideas about sales mix and looking at our board as a consumer and just making sure that it's not about ticking boxes. It's about offering that anything that John puts out of that kitchen, my beer can come and meet him.
Right.
So as a brewer, I'm happy to meet him and play a compliment to what he's doing as well. So up here on the floor, it's really driven by the idea that we need to put up these styles. So at any given point, we're making sure that we can accommodate people. The stuff that happens down in the cellar, especially down in the barrel room, is not about recipe formulation. It's just what I want to do for me. It's a little selfish, but that's the only place where I like in this whole operation, I gave myself one little postage stamp in this building.
Yeah.
Where it's like, that's what I do for me. And it's not to say, like, I enjoy the challenge when it comes to brew a small saison, brew a pills. That challenge of perfecting a recipe and working with the machine at the brewery, I love that part. But down in the cellar, that's just my kind of doodling that I do.
Your personal sandbox.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to have. I'm allowed to have like a little place, right? I just work for me, and hopefully people
the happy
like it.
place.
Yeah.
Okay, but at the end of the day, you are a businessman.
Yep.
So how has the public been and how have sales been in reaction to you brewing these styles that you want to brew or Chuck wants you to brew and you trying to perfect them? Do you find yourself still steering towards things that people want to drink, or have people been embracing what you want to brew?
Well, yeah, I mean, especially in opening, we open with a fair amount of low alcohol beers, and we open with an English bitter on nitro. And I was really happy and surprised at how many people are like, "Thank you for making something that's not 9%." I know you're talking about you're like oh, I'm ready for the big beer.
Big beers. Yeah,
yeah, but they walk in and stuff was like, "There's some 4% beers up there."
Yeah,
No, I love
that's
that.
important. Yeah.
More session beers, the better.
Yeah.
That's yes.
I disagree.
Well, no, I like big beers, and I cannot lie.
Take his keys.
But no, session beers are great, and like the appreciation for crafting flavorful, enjoyable beers that aren't high in alcohol, because then you can have a few and enjoy yourself and not fall over, and that's great.
One of our biggest things is, we don't have a soapbox. We have no particular agenda as far as what we think you should be drinking. It's not, keeping in mind that this is Dan's favorite, like, if we wanted to brew what we wanted to brew, we just stay at home and homebrew. Like, it's not really about what we
It's a lot less work.
That's a really good point. That's a good line.
It's really not about what we want. So we try to keep in mind when I'm on the floor and I hear 100, people saying, "Hey, do you have anything like a wheat beer?" We give them, Hefeweizen or a wit or whatever. It's really, people are like, "Oh, what are you gonna brew continuously?" It's whatever you guys drink the most of. It's cool. We're not concerned about.
We're in the entertainment industry. I really think so. I mean, the craft of what we do to make a liquid, or what chefs puts in the kitchen, that's work we do for us. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, we're in entertainment.
Right.
It's I know that's not the most diehard brewer thing to say.
Yeah.
But,
right. No, but
you're talking about how do I, as a businessman and a brewer and guys who's passionate about both, that's how it makes sense in my head.
Yeah.
We're here for them.
Clean beers are for everyone. The barrel beers are for the for the true passionate beer nerds, so to
Get
speak.
your geek out.
We can say that because we are them.
Yeah.
But that's sort of how it breaks down. We keep the lights on up top, and then downstairs is where we really go nuts.
Well, and I think getting back to that line that we talked about earlier, just brewing beer to have broad appeal and to make $1 million is one thing, but brewing beer for people to legitimately enjoy and brewing good beer and not being like, well, I'm going to brew this crazy sour beers and that's what you're going to drink because that's what real beer drinkers drink. I mean, that's douchey. Having that appreciation.
It's a little pedantic.
Having that balance where like you want to make really good beer, but you also want to make really good beer that everyone's going to enjoy who comes in here,
and that's a challenge.
Or that somebody can find something that
and having that restraint. For me, I mean, having discipline. I just got something in my eye. Having that.
He's getting teary.
Yeah, I get really
emotional.
I get really passionate about my ramblings about the industry.
Yes,
but honestly, that takes a lot of restraint and discipline. to how if I could craft a pils that 90% of the people who aren't German who walk through our door are going to enjoy. That's an accomplishment for me. That's something I'm proud of. It just takes a little restraint as a brewer.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, there's got to be that itch, and I mean, you see it all the time. I mean, there's crazy beers out there with all kinds of crazy shit in it, and there's got to be that itch to want to experiment constantly. I'm like, I would do the craziest thing that nobody's ever heard of, but I feel like that's kind of a flash in the pan, short-lived sort of approach.
Another thing that's throughout our operation is flavor positive.
I was just about to say the same thing. We spend way too freaking much time. It's ridiculous.
We're not going to throw random stuff in the kettle or in the mash tun because it's kitschy. It's
because you Googled it.
It
no
doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah.
The flash in the pan is a perfect. That's a perfect way to put it. Is is there a long game or is it just hey let's post this on Instagram and it's cool. Right. So you won't really see a lot of that, and we have done stuff that's sort of out of the ordinary. There's rosemary and lime blonde ale. Some would say, oh, why'd you put that in there? Well, those together are awesome and they pair fantastically with chef's food. So you'll see some things that are creative and sort of out of the norm for stylistically, but in the end they're there for a reason. Dan's lavender and honey I wasn't necessarily on board for, but after you put it out there, it was awesome, tasted good, and
it's orange
so be
blossom
it.
Honey.
It's orange blossom honey. Thank you.
No, like homebrewing during the summer during construction. Yeah, during the summer, I made a batch of it, and I hadn't brewed in a couple of years. And I forgot how much lavender I used, so I was probably a little aggressive, and it came out tasting like soap. Yeah. So that was my punishment beer. I had to drink a sixth of it.
Punishment beer.
I wouldn't let him dump it out. He had to drink the whole thing.
You will sit there and you will like it.
So anyway, so the sales mix is really driven by being approachable to everybody, spanning the range from my mom who walks in and wants what's your closest thing to a Blue Moon to the guy who's looking for a barrel aged imperial IPA, whatever's going on. So that's what we try to keep in mind.
And it's interesting. I think we hear that more and more from brewers and people who work in breweries that we come into contact with. It's that everybody's got at least one or two beers that is like that introductory craft beer. Like that's important to people because I think there's a drive to like not make it feel like craft beer is this elite club that like you have to have a secret handshake to be in. Like,
well, it is.
Well, I mean, if you want to be like cool like us, but like there's different levels.
But I don't think that the idea of making you say introductory, I say just that maybe more accessible. Beers. It's not like a beer sensei. Like you go up rungs and before you know you're only like drinking enamel rippers and like I have achieved nirvana.
Yes.
Even a Pils. It's not a throwaway beer. It's a freaking hard. It's a hard beer to make if you're doing it right. And so we took a lot of work to work on even water down to water, filtration and back adding and making Pils water, and it's a lot of work to make that.
And I think there's a trend that at least anecdotally that I think we've seen we're moving away from those crazy beers that are just sort of stuntish,
and some are going even more towards crazy and
they
crazier.
are, but I think more and more people are appreciating that like good beer is good beer, and like perfecting a Pilsner is important. Perfecting a Kolsch is important, and not a triple IPA. That's not necessarily.
And I think people respect it now.
What'd you do?
Where before
I
people
added more
pass
hops.
over.
I added more hops.
How much alcohol would you
flour.
like with your hops?
I put a birthday cake in the mash,
right?
Because
Was it your birthday?
All things cyclical.
No, it was not.
No.
People will come around.
Let's talk about what's on the back of the coaster.
Gran Vecino.
Gran Vecino?
Dano, take it away.
Gran Vecino means great neighbor in Spanish. And, it's one of the things especially, it's easy to, when you spend 2 to 3 years moving, going around to different properties, looking at things, drinking a lot of beers, my partners and I, we were not friends before this process. It wasn't like we weren't childhood friends or anything like that. Not take the romanticism out of it.
Right.
We're business.
Well, that might be better, actually.
And exactly. Like, we really just looked and crafted and perfected. And one thing, we became friends through it, rather than being friends before, and that's great because nothing ventured, nothing gained. You can always go back to not being friends after that. But but with these guys, especially with our worldview and who we want to be, making beer and food. It's a passion. We work at it. We beat that drum enough.
Yeah.
But that's not the end. Like, that's not the only thing I'm going to do with my life. If my life is summed up in a couple beers and we guys made some great tacos or whatever it should be, that can't be the only work I'm doing. So Gran Vecino for us is it's a commitment. Like, a lot of brewers have done this, and it's one of the greatest things about our industry that from the inception, many breweries focus on community. They focus on helping other people, being good to each other, being good to our employees, especially. I love the fact that we've created a place where it's an awesome place to work. People enjoy it. They get along. We clicked from day one, whether it's the partners group or our first round of staff coming through, and even having some new staff come on. You know, if you believe that and you treat each other with respect, it's a great way to have a business. I wouldn't put all this work in and make, you know, Chuck and I making the sacrifices and our partners making the sacrifices to create a place that you didn't want to show up to work, or as a guest you wouldn't want to be. And, you know, during the first round of staff training and, you know, getting people onboarded, I told them, if you ever don't want to show up, you know who's responsible. It's all of us. You know, that being good neighbors to each other, whether it's people outside this building or inside the building, is extremely important. So
yeah. When I came on, it was explained to me in so many words, and one of the things that the discussion revolved around was, if you take this in mind with all of your actions for a week, watch how your life changes. If you think about this concept in every decision that you make, you will see a difference in your...
It's crushing.
You know, in your life.
You realize how selfish you are.
It is crazy.
And
we try to keep it in mind. Right. Yes. Lots of that.
Why didn't nobody tell me? We tried. We tried so many times.
Yeah. So it's a great concept, and we live by it here, and we try to make sure that everyone understands it as they come on board, and hopefully it translates.
Yeah, and the growth of the business, and what do you do next, and whatever moves we make. You know, we just got open 6 months ago, but at some point you look at what's the next thing. We only enter into relationships that are win-win. Right. It's the only way to do business. It's, you know, if it doesn't work out as a win-win with the other party, don't do it. Because it'll come back in some way. You never know how, but it always comes back.
Right. Yeah. In that way, we've developed some pretty awesome relationships with vendors and other like-minded people passionate about their craft.
Yeah. Ben and Melody, the farmers.
Yeah.
That's a great example,
awesome.
too.
Yeah.
And you've worked with Deer Creek. I know you've had a number of beers using their malts.
Oh, yeah.
And your beer is available. I was at Teresa's, I believe, and you guys had... Was there something on there from you guys?
We floated. There's a couple people. We're not doing distribution in any appreciable way, but there's a couple kegs we floated to people who have helped us kind of get our thoughts together, and along the way have helped us. We've had a lot of beers at their places while we were planning ours. So Teresa's and the Bottle Room out in Downingtown, we floated a little bit of beer out there just to say hello and let them know who we are, and say that we wanted to have a little beer on tap. But it's nice at that level where you're just kind of doing it as a hello when you start actually.
And people we can trust with the product too.
Yeah,
they do a great job.
When you're trying to fill orders, and we're not doing that, but we're looking at these partnerships and people that you meet throughout this process. I'm sure guys going around from brewery to brewery, you hear so many. The guy who always brings his dog to your brewery, and like all these wonderful people that you meet through beer. But especially for us, the win-win aspect has really helped us to be creative as well. We look at the farmer that picks up our grain. There's a lot of services where they'll come and pick up your grain, they take it away, they compost it, what have you. But these folks, it's Ben and Melody. It's a young couple. They came from farming families.
Willow Springs Farm.
Yeah, Willow Springs Farm. And Ben and Melody. Yeah, it's and their son Levi too.
Shout out, love you guys.
Yeah, but they came from farming families, and of course they got married and let's start a farm. And there's some things that Melody had grown when she was younger. And never really did again. So even just getting them, with our grain and saying, if you make quail eggs, or if you make if you want to grow ducks, if you want to do anything that you did, it's already sold. We'll buy it back from you. So the duck confit on our duck fries, it's kind of like poutine, all grown up. Yeah, those are ducks that are raised on our grain. So it's wow. that sort of thing allows us to be more creative, because you're not just paying somebody to pick it up. It's a win-win. They get grain for their cattle and chickens and ducks, and we buy back the meat from them.
Wow.
And it takes a lot of work from their end and our end. Ben works 2 jobs. The guy works his ass off.
He does.
I don't know how he does it, but it's the hustle of being a farmer.
I guess so.
If that is a hustle.
It's probably a calm hustle.
It's a chill hustle.
A saunter.
It's a great word. Yeah, but Deer Creek, Willow Springs. I mean, there's a lot of great, wines coming out of Pennsylvania, Pennswoods and Pear Grove. There's, it's really cool to just be in this industry, and you find people that have the same amount of passion as you do for their craft.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting thirsty.
Beer me! Beer me! Beer me! Beer me!
I love when beer just magically appears in front of us.
Ding.
Ding. Yeah, there should be a sound effect every single time.
There should be.
But not only is there a flight in front of us, one of them was poured from a crowler, which we'll get into, because that's not the first one that's in the lineup, right?
No, it's not.
Okay.
We thought ahead.
We'll
Actually,
parking lot that.
Well, parking lot.
I just like
Yes.
being called magical. I gotta be honest with
You
you.
can be magical. It's
Very
all right.
magical. Hey, you make beer.
magically
You're magical.
delicious.
There
We're
you
going to
go.
come up with a
Most-
sound
like an
effect for
alchemist.
Dan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Most Dans are magical.
Yeah.
If I do say so.
Oh.
Some way.
Well
one way or
played,
another.
sir. Well played.
Thank you. I tried.
You wear the handle well.
Wow.
Well, what beer do we have? I noticed there's a 3, 4, 5, and a 6. I'm assuming we're starting at 3.
Sure.
Cool.
Sure. Start at
Yeah.
3.
All right. What is number 3?
3 is Tabula Rasa Simcoe. So Tabula Rasa is a series of beers.
You
It's
just
always
said Wayne's favorite word.
Tabula Rasa?
No, Simcoe.
Oh, yeah?
I have no idea what that other word is.
Good, yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't speak Spanish. Yeah, so the Tabula Rasa is a series of beers. It's always single hop. So it's just as much for guests who come in and they have IPAs that are always a blend of things. Like, oh, that tastes like Simcoe. This is Citra. We have a Mosaic in tank now. So it's just a chance for them to try single hops.
Tell them what tabula rasa means.
Tabula Rasa means clean slate in Latin.
Oh, cool.
So the recipes...
Chuck, I'm putting you on a clean slate from this moment forward.
Fantastic.
You are.
I feel
But notice
better
you didn't
now.
say the Latin version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tabula Rasa?
I can't speak Latin.
Quit being a dickus. No postus Instagrammus.
Boy.
No, but it's the recipe's engineered just to be a delivery device for whatever hop we're working with that time. And so as you said before, like something like Wakatu or Waimea, we might be able to get some New Zealand stuff in because you always hear about these hops, but you never have a good venue to actually try them. So we played, we went with some classic stuff for the first couple of Tabula Rasas that we did, but as we get a feel for things and as people start coming in to actually really to try these hops or try different things, it's interesting for us because I've never brewed with some of these New Zealand things coming out. You just never have a chance to try it, or it's always in a blend with something else because they're like, people love Citra. I don't know about Waimea, so they always blend it with something.
Right.
So we might have to do one.
Yeah.
Might have to do a New Zealand one.
It's fun for us, but it's fun for the consumer as well. Especially sometimes we wind up having more than one on tap. So you can have Tabula Rasa Simcoe next to Tabula Rasa Mosaic, and you can say to yourself, "Oh, this is what this tastes like and why." And then we've even had some people, get one of each and then blend them together and sort of make their own little IPA. So it's a fun series.
You could play brewer.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is easy. I'm making beer.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. Oh my god, all I have to do is pour these sample glasses
Eat
together.
your heart out, Mr.
Yeah.
Beer.
Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
All right, can we talk about your damn paparazzi for a moment?
The paparazzi.
Oh yeah, Scott Clay.
Scott Clay.
Shout out to Scott Clay.
Shout out Scott.
What's up,
social
Scott?
media guy.
Very
Scott
nice
Clay
camera.
is our director of social and multimedia. He also happens to be basically like my brother. I grew up with Scott, and
Both of them made up titles, by the way.
they are completely made up. But what he does is effectively that. So yes, right now
And he only posts really flattering pictures, right?
yes,
Look at what
he
he's done
does.
for me.
Yeah.
Have you seen some of the photos of me?
Dan has been photoshopped extensively.
Like David Hasselhoff by the toilet.
So
Yes.
yeah. So since we're jumping into it, the cool thing about what we're doing here is that we sort of recognize the need for specific portions of the business. One of them being not ignoring the immense impact of social media.
And how cool it is to have paparazzi.
Yeah, and how cool it is to walk around with someone taking pictures of you all the time.
Roll deep.
We do roll
Roll
deep.
posse.
Yeah. So Scott's been awesome. He came on not so long ago and has done a great job sort of really taking the reins. We are very busy. So while I used to do it from my phone, periodically taking up-close snapshots of foam and a beer like everybody else does, Scott is able to use his legit camera equipment and edit things and do things the right way. So the paparazzi Steph is referring to is staring me right in the face right now.
I was gonna say, it is a little weird that
Those
we're
lenses
talking
are-
about him as he's
he's very-
floating around the
he's
room trying to snap
omnipresent,
candid
yes.
pictures.
I
for
feel like
everywhere
I
and
shouldn't
nowhere
look at him.
at the same
Like I
time.
might burn in flames if I look at
It's
him.
sort of a
If
rule.
I look at him, I might fall in love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
That
turn to
is-
stone.
that is-
He
yeah,
is
he's
very
like
attractive.
Medusa.
He actually is. His dimples
He's
are
very
something
attractive.
fantastic.
Is Scott hotter than Dave Walker?
He reminds
No
me of young
one.
Dave Walker.
I don't know who Dave Walker is, but
No
I'll
one
put
is
Scott
Dave
against him
Walker.
any
Or
day.
Firestone Walker.
She's creeping on pretty heavy.
damn right.
Oh,
Yes,
you missed
of
that whole
course.
conversation.
Yeah, you were
I
up at the
didn't
bar.
hear it.
We were
I'm
talking
sorry.
about that.
So yeah, so that's Scott. Scott does a great job. Thank you, Scott.
Hey, Scott.
If you're looking for anything that Scott does, check out Instagram, Facebook, Twitter,
All that
Snapchat,
stuff.
all the good stuff.
The social media.
Yeah, it's-
You know, it's become a bit of a cliche on our podcast that brewers don't know how to use social media.
That's why they hire Scott.
Yeah, so
That's
it's
why.
great. It's great to
That's why
see
Scott's here.
It's
somebody
called delegation.
like, have someone dedicated. Because some people are like, yeah, we have a Twitter account, but we haven't tweeted in 3 years. Like,
Yeah,
you probably should.
and
Collusion.
small business owners. It's especially guys who may not have grown up with the phone in their hand and the whole world in their hand. They kind of bemoan it, and it's like, oh, you got to do it now. What?
Don't do it, Steph. That's that song's going to be in everyone's head
Yeah,
for the
I
rest
was-
of the night.
I was
It's in
thinking
my
into.
head.
Yeah, I forgot what I was saying.
Anyway, Scott's awesome.
Scott's singing along.
Scott does a great job
Great
with social
job, Scott.
media, and he's better at it than we are, and that's why he's here, among other things. But he's also a very talented bartender, so say hello to him
Ooh,
when
nice.
you stop by. the
Even
Brewers Bar.
better.
Yeah.
Order a drink and he'll take your picture.
Yes. And
Very flattering picture.
You'll know him from his dimples.
No, that's it. Honestly, for us, it's another creative outlet too. And as he came on board not too long ago, but already we have cool ideas for things that we want to do as a brew pub and as a small group of people. Coming up with, especially with partners who travel all over, can we use images or other things from around the country?
Right.
As part of our branding. So just having a person just dedicated to that. Never learned how to use Twitter. Don't want to know how to use it.
You don't have to. You have Scott.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Can we hire a Scott?
Yeah, know what you don't know.
I thought you were our Scott.
If you have to ask who Scott is, you might be Scott.
Very well said.
Scott, you do a great job.
Thank you.
Aw.
Yeah, he's great.
Aw. Feel the love here at La Cabra.
He's only been here for a month.
Yeah.
He'll fuck it up.
So I want to say, like,
That was me.
okay, fine. Edit that out.
Yeah.
Scott does a great job.
so I want to take 2 steps back. Is it tabla rasa?
Two steps back.
Tabula.
Tabula rasa.
Tabula.
Tabula rasa. So like,
TAPULA.
like tablet erased.
Sure.
Like sort of a
Pretty
okay.
much.
All
Look
right.
at you. You're studying
All
for the SAT.
Yeah, right. One day.
Didn't know you were a linguist.
Cunning.
Don't do
Yep.
it.
Sorry.
Don't do it.
I'm glad somebody picked up on it.
Wah, wah, just stepped right in.
Setting them up. Locking them down.
I do like this beer.
I love Simcoe. And single hop beers are so much fun for all the reasons that you said. It's great to be able to explore the characteristics of one hop unimpeded by a million other things. And Simcoe is awesome, and this showcases its wonderful dank characteristics very well.
He loves Simcoe
I do.
a lot.
Yep.
Yep. So you just want to get like an 8-ounce glass full of Simcoe and smell it for the rest of the podcast?
We can put that in
Look,
front of
you
your
can't
microphone.
even sit still
if you
while
want.
you're saying that.
No, I was going to say,
Fidgety all
actually,
of a sudden.
like,
Scott,
His giggling. And
go ask,
know,
it's
right?
getting
go ask
weird.
Michael
Just
to
a
get
little
a
bit.
4-ounce full of Simcoe.
You're like a
I think
giddy little
at some
schoolgirl.
point, like, I wouldn't be able to
Exactly.
taste or smell anything else, so I don't think that's a
But
good
would
idea.
you want to?
Not when I have beers to sample.
Really?
Speaking of.
Don't have Simcoe.
Moving right along. I'm ready to try this one.
All right.
All right.
Oh,
Mabel?
I thought you meant you haven't tried the Tabula Rasa.
Oh.
But no, you're moving on to the next one already.
Ooh. Oh.
Mabel.
Mabel.
Barrel
Oh,
fermented
Mabel.
saison
Oh.
Oh.
with passion
I like
fruit.
those words, too.
Yeah, so it's one of the things that we're passionate about is barrel aging.
Passion fruit.
This passion fruit, puree. We put it in the fruiting tank with a tunnel. With barrel aging and barrel fermenting, we do engineer recipes from the ground up to be barrel beers. It's something that, as a brewer, when I put something in a barrel, there's things that happen in the brew house even when you're aging out a long time, and people who do a lot of this work will understand it's not just about taking a beer you had on tap.
This is really delicious. This is
Right.
this is one of those, like, I love saisons, and every once in a while I have a saison where I'm like, this is why I love saisons, and this is one of them.
Thank
Like,
you.
this
Right?
is
I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's we dry them out from the barrel and some of the Brett that's in the barrel. You get a little bit of earthiness. This one was in barrel for a month and a half, so it doesn't. We're not leaving stuff on the brewery floor and the puncheons. First, it's only Sacro and Brett. There's no bacteria up there. Right. Near the brew house, down the cellar, it's a zoo down there.
Yeah.
But when it comes to those.
Lab nightmare.
Yeah. It's but up here, just using the bread as something to really dry it out. Then you don't need a lot of fruiting. You don't need a lot of passion fruit or whatever you're adding to something if it already has good fermentation and a little bit of time with Brett. One of the things especially is showing people Brett can have light character. It doesn't always have to be like a huge musk leather horse bomb. Those things are awesome, but you can have a light amount of something. Yeah. you have a light amount of something that actually balances it out.
The cool thing about Mabel, also for me, from the front of the house standpoint, is we're trying to really, like we said, we have this range of beers as options, and we do want to slowly introduce the world to our passion for wild fermentation and barrel aging and all that stuff. So as we move along, these little sort of gateway drugs start to pop up on the beer list, and people who walk in who have never had one said, "Ooh, what is this?" And it's an opportunity for us to teach and to explain and to engage, and hopefully over time, as people get to trust us to making these Brett beers and wild fermentation and sours and all that stuff, having them on draft, not necessarily being a special release or something that you can only get at a certain time, is really beneficial to our overall goal, is to really get people into this style and really open up their eyes to things that they may not have ever tried before. So Mabel, Grace, a lot of these things coming up, Wild Rico, these are options for people who have never experienced this to just go for it. So
yeah, it's a lot of these, it comes to barrel beers and it comes to tart beers. It's always been fairly esoteric. I mean, it's been, you either knew about them or you didn't. Yeah. And bridging that gap and putting it in a way that's presentable. There's no attitude. There's no hype. Something can be lightly tart or something can be lightly bready, and it works with what else is in that beer. Something I'm pretty passionate about. It's especially working in beer retail before. And trying to convince somebody like those flavors are supposed to be there, and you could sell
supposed to
till you're
taste
blue
like
in the face. Yeah. You could sell like Alec Baldwin, like brass balls. I'm selling this right now. It will not matter because it's
coffee is for clothing.
Exactly, yep. And yeah, but even then, it's a tough gap, and it's always going to be a niche market. It will always be a niche market inside a niche market. People who like craft beer and people who like sours and wilds and stuff like that. But if that's a personal challenge of mine, it's just to kind of make beers that can bridge that gap.
Yep.
And if you present it in such a way that it's not like you're not saying that's the most incredible beer you ever had in your life, you won't even understand it.
Yeah,
just put it in a way that
you don't get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but just be open, be willing to talk to people about how we produce it, show them the barrels, walk them down for a second, and just be honest about it. You point to a barrel, says that beer that came out of that barrel, you'd be surprised how much more open they are. They're like, oh, I get it, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the brew house is expanding to that point where puncheons are on the way. We're adding to the oak sort of presence on the brew house floor. So as we start to expand that, you can start to expect more of these style of beers where the passion is translated through the tap system, and people really have an opportunity to try multiple different versions of what we're trying to get across.
Yeah, if you don't like it, it's Chuck's fault.
That's true.
It's always Chuck's fault.
That is also true.
You need to have a guy for that too. You social media guy and a guy,
yeah.
the fall guy.
Oh, I have one.
I get a lot of forwarded emails. It just forwards right across to my.
It reminds me, I get Michael an email.
Yeah.
Michael, our cellarman, he's a piece of work. And if we're going to move on to that talking point, I have a lot to say about that guy. It's talking about when if things don't work out or if things go great and how you share it with the team. My kind of sort of brother-in-law, I'll marry his sister at some point, but my kind of sort of brother-in-law Michael came on since opening to be a cellarman. So he's a guy who walked through our door, didn't know a lot about craft beer, definitely didn't know anything about brewing, but just working with him, working closely, training. Now he's handled all cellaring, getting tanks CIP, getting beer transferred, and it's a tough thing to do. And I talked to another gentleman who just left a very reputable brewery, and he's got to being a consultant. He's like, "Oh, cellarman, get a good cellarman, worth the weight in gold." It's like, I just found one because the guy's smart and he works hard. Edit the shit out of that because I said nice things about him. But no, but it's having somebody whose family to come in and learn with you and grow. And even kind of bring some ideas to the table as well. The Wunderkind, the one beer we have on tap, was the first beer he brewed. We had a lot of Deer Creek.
Boy Wonder, by the way.
The Boy Wonder. We had a lot of Deer Creek around, so I kind of said, okay, put a beer together, make a lager. I'll teach you how to some of our lagering procedure here. And having him step in the brew house and not hurt himself, that was a plus.
Did not burn himself.
Made a nice little Vienna lager, using local malt. So it's just seeing a guy over the last 6 months really bloom and understand it. And also it's really special for me. I talked about Matt Geyer and how important he was to me, getting my head on straight about this very complex, characterful, industry that we're in, and having him kind of under our wings and showing him how things are. And it's just beer. Just relax. Enjoy it. It's supposed to be fun. Be proud of it. And like all the things that I kind of learned coming up, it's just good having him here.
Not to overgeneralize, but he was a Penn State frat boy. And he came in and is making craft beer and right up to speed. So
yeah,
props to Michael.
I feel like we're getting all romantic here.
All right, fine.
More beer.
Back it up.
No, I'm enjoying
Where's
it.
Scott?
Yeah.
More unflattering pictures.
More pictures of Steph.
No, Scott promised he only takes flattering pictures.
He does.
Oh, okay.
It's true.
So let's go on to number 5.
Scott
Well, I
lies.
wanted to say 2 other things about this one. Sorry.
Go on.
Heinz.
Number 1.
One, I like that the passion fruit is not overpowering it. It's like a subtle compliment to the rest of it.
Zwei.
Really appreciate that. 2, this is the one that came out of the crowler, right?
Yes.
Correct.
So I wanted to mention these crowlers. You have gold
They're pretty.
crowlers.
They are like pimped.
They're
I
really
have
awesome
never
looking.
seen a
Yeah.
gold crowler.
Bling blow.
Classy as F.
They
Yes.
are. They are.
Right.
They are
They
classy.
are.
If we were on Cribs, it would be like a montage scene.
Yeah.
Where do you get the how
Yeah.
do you get the what? I'm just confused by that.
So
Clearly.
I don't know why more people don't opt for the gold crowler. It is
I didn't
slightly.
even know it was an option.
It's a couple extra bucks, but it's
Worth
cool.
It's worth
Come
it.
on.
Yeah.
Oscar Blues, good for them.
Well, they're the ones that invented the crowler. They're also the ones that invented the resealable crowler.
Correct. That's where we source them. But yeah,
All right.
they do a great job. They're awesome.
Kudos to you guys.
Shout out to them. Yeah. And we foresaw that this beer would kick before you guys arrived, so we
Aww.
Oh, thank you for
tactfully
saving
scrolled it away for you.
Appreciate it.
Yes, more for us than for
See?
you, but
Yeah.
we also have
You're
something
on my
to share.
good side
That's
again.
fine.
Forget about all the mean stuff you said earlier.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'll probably say mean
Let it
stuff
roll
later,
off.
but
That's fine.
It's really a mixed bag with Steph. I mean,
Yeah, I'm getting to know that.
This is a roller coaster
Yeah.
ride.
It really is.
The point about the passion fruit is something also that I appreciate is that's other things that we don't generally do. Try not to go over the top like crazy. Like we said before, it's all flavor positive. If it doesn't fit into the balance, if it's not all things equal, you're missing the point. So
Generally, my philosophy when it comes to fruiting and herbing, if I'm allowed to have a philosophy 6 months in, is you're accenting something that's already in the beer.
right.
There's
yeah.
clear cases, like he mentioned Juno. It's a beer it's a blonde with rosemary and lime, but I'm working with Chef on that one. So that makes sense in my head. But if you're not accenting something that's already there and expounding upon it or complementing, and in balance and in harmony with what's already there, you're just making juice at that point. It's gotta complement and meld with what's there. So delicacy, restraint are good. That's a good thing.
Right.
that's
yeah,
a great
good-
segue into number 5, by the way.
Oh,
Number
all
five.
I was
Well, then
thinking
what's,
the exact same thing.
what's
I
number
don't-
5?
So the fifth one, Rare
It's
Bear.
so good.
All right, moving on to Rare Bear.
We're
right?
on Rare Bear.
Rare
All right.
Sorry to
Bear?
hijack the segment.
Rare Bear. Why is it Rare Bear?
It's why Rare Bear. And the reason I'm holding my alligator claw is because our former employee, Terry, made a massive impact on us. He's quite the character. And when he left to take on a sales job, we felt that we should name a beer after him. So even though his nickname around the brew house was Terror Bear, we named it Rare Bear.
Yeah, it's Terry is one of those guys, and it's going to sound a little mean for a second, then it'll get better. When I met him and started interacting with him, great guy. He's either the biggest space cadet I ever met in my life, or he was Andy Kaufman.
Nice.
and like slowly, like Chuck and I are like, is he messing with us? Is he messing with us? By the end, it became very clear that he was just messing with us.
Highly intelligent.
Great comedic mind.
Right.
Great comedic mind. The alligator paw is just the start of it. I guess we were hearing some great stories in the around St. Patty's Day. He was apparently dropping off guacamole at the table. It was like, it's been dyed green for the holiday. And stuff like that.
100 of those a day,
That's
basically.
brilliant.
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
it just flows out of him.
Oh my god.
So again, Andy Kaufman level of just it just flows out
Yes.
of him.
Yeah.
I can't share all those stories because it'd be kind of deprecatory, but
Yeah.
But that's where the name came from. You want to talk
that's
about
Rare
the beer?
Bear. It's the rarest of
Tell them
bears.
about the beer.
So
You
it's
tell
a
'em about the beer.
Mid-Atlantic IPA.
Oh,
All right, I'll let you pitch.
Wait a second.
Uh
It has one of my favorite hops in it.
oh.
Is Mid-Atlantic IPA a thing?
Mid-Atlantic IPA is a thing. You know why it is?
I think this is the first time I've heard of it because every geographical location needs their own IPA.
Did you know
Getting
why?
very granular.
Because we made it up.
Okay.
There you go.
That's why
So
it's a
I'm
thing.
not going to find it in the guidelines.
Own it.
It's not in the BJCP guidelines that I know of yet, but
Okay.
time will tell.
They are
will tell.
lobbying
Yeah.
to have it.
It'll
So-
be in the 2020
Here's
guidelines.
here's the motivation. It's not all hype and it's not us being arrogant. I promise you that. It sounds really freaking arrogant.
Especially now that you said that.
Let me preface it
Because
by
I
saying,
can see, I can see, people who there's a lot of IPAs, an incredible market. Everyone drinks them, everyone loves them. God bless everyone with their IPAs. The technical challenge, we look at New England IPAs, and I'll be honest, and this will be aired, and I just want to let's let it
Just
out.
air it out.
New England IPA is a style whose charms are lost upon me.
Yeah.
I appreciate that it's most ballyhooed. Everyone's talking about it, waiting in lines. Breweries have, you can put 5 new fermenters in, paying with New England IPA releases, and that's good. If it helps keep people employed and grow, I love that style. It's great. Personally, it's just kind of lost upon me. And that's me, I guess, being a cantankerous old man. But with Mid-Atlantic IPA and this project that we're working on, and it's a work in progress as well as we're refining it, one of the technical flaws as a brewer that I see with New England IPA is how ephemeral it is how quickly...
It's fleeting.
Yeah, it's just, if you get it fresh, it's just heady, awesome, aromatic, perfectly
And
juicy.
then 2 weeks later.
Yeah. Or like 2 hours later.
Yeah, and that's, as a brewer who, again, I respect guest experience. We have to have a slightly more appreciable timeline for somebody to actually share that beer with their friends or whatever they want to do with it. So with Mid-Atlantic, what we're doing, it's not all hype. It's actually a serious project that we're working on too. I want to preserve juicy flavors. I do want to back add a little bit of there should be some bitterness in the beer to make it an IPA.
it's still an IPA after all.
It tastes like IPA, so it has bitterness, juiciness, but also the aromatics and the qualities of the beer will actually age gracefully. So whatever that means to you, we're playing with yeast, we're playing with water profile, hopping, methods of hopping. I want to make something that's juicy, a little bit bitter, and lasts more than three seconds in the glass or in the can. So that's the idea behind it.
In a
And
nutshell, the
that is
sexiness of the New England with the classic West Coast bitter something still left behind.
I like the age gracefully part because I know a few episodes ago in some of the news, I brought up the fact that some distributors and some breweries are having problems with their IPAs sitting on the shelf for so long. So if you end up distributing, you end up with a hot bomb if nobody buys it right away. So aging gracefully is going to be a fantastic thing. Plus, if you get that crowler of an IPA that happens to sit in the back of your fridge by accident for 3 months.
Well, it's better than a bottle because at least it's protected from light.
Right, exactly. But I think that could be something that will do the IPA a lot of justice.
That's the idea, and first of all, I want if there's any brewers actually listening to this, I want to apologize now for the only time for appropriating a region. But it's the only way I can make it make sense in my head that you can make a beer that might have some haze to it, but this is not a New England IPA. It doesn't taste like that, and I'm not trying to make a New England IPA. I'm doing something different, and heaven forbid, it's something we want to work on. Already with some other brewers that I know closely, we might work through the project together and see if they have some input.
The point is, we don't do anything that's not for a reason. We don't add something to achieve a look or a feel or whatever that isn't, again, flavor positive. We are looking to utilize yeast strains that bolster the tropical flavor. We're looking at using hops that do the same thing, and then we're looking for something that's going to taste good.
And not a fine grained powder that's often used in baking.
We would never know anything about that because that exists in the kitchen only.
You know what? I'm not against that. I don't do it, but I'm not against it.
Okay.
Oh.
Fair enough.
No, look at wit. Look at Gruit. Look at all these styles of beer historically. Brewers have made beers for the people in their town that wanted to drink them. And if they wanted it with coriander and orange peel, they made it with coriander and orange peel. Or if historically, beer styles have evolved by sense of place. And you look at Goza and
They're not talking about coriander.
But-
they're talking about flour.
I didn't want to say flour. Oh, I didn't want to say it.
Coriander and orange peel add aroma and flavor,
They are flavor
and dimension
positive.
and complexity.
Welcome to the team. They are flavor
You're hired.
positive.
Beer is meant to attenuate. Beer is meant to eventually become clear. All beers, no matter how, even
All
if
beers?
the cloudiest of Hefeweizens, if they are conditioned long enough, they are going to be fucking clear. It's just the nature of the beast.
And that's
It
that's
goes
one of the
against everything that I learned in brewing school. It goes against everything. It's just it's not.
Well,
I'm not getting on the soapbox right now.
No, and that's one of the big things, especially with working on Mid-Atlantic and trying to develop this and using other yeasts that actually will do the same thing. They'll pronounce juicy flavors. They'll support it. They'll have clarity in the beer, but it won't be a yeast bomb. Like, how can we get the flavors without all the aesthetic, like the French's mustard poured in a glass, like that? I'm not on board. I'm personally here at La Cabra, and me speaking as a guy who makes the beer, we're not on board with that. I think New England IPA is a great style. I think a lot of people enjoy it, but I'd rather do something else.
Yeah.
And that's
Well, and
luckily I get to brew the beer here, so that's okay.
One of the best thing about the craft beer industry is the evolution and the change, and I think we are ready for the next thing. Bring it on, We've had it. Many people have enjoyed it and loved it, and let's go on to something else now.
And again, that there's a lot of ways looking at this shelf stability of that product and how do you engineer a beer. It's not just about being scalable. It's not just financial, but like literally having a beer that at least holds up for 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
That's a beer should last 2 or 3.
Tastes good when you come in. Tastes good when you come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
And that's what we're trying to do. And so even even with we do 7-barrel batches here, it's not on tap for too long. But seeing things throughout selling 7 barrels and seeing how the character of the beer changed, we're learning a lot about it and what that yeast wants to do when you put it under some pretty strenuous brewery conditions. So that's as much I'll say about it. What do you think?
Other Dan.
Let's get high-minded.
Yeah, Dan.
Okay. I'm torn about the subject.
This could be a new segment.
This is great. Dan versus Dan.
So I'm torn about. Are you still talking about flour? Because I'm caught up on that.
I'm not as fired up.
That should be the segment. Are you talking about flour?
No, that's the title of the episode. Are we still
talking about flour?
Write that on the tablecloth.
Talk for like an hour and a half, and at the end,
I'll write it in the lightest color possible.
Sorry. Anyway, continue.
Well, so there's a lot that was said there. So as far as
that's a fact.
Well, yeah. As far as the Mid-Atlantic IPA,
It's starting to sound like a
goes,
politician's answer.
Oh my god. As far as Mid-Atlantic IPA goes, it's interesting to see that take on it, where you're trying to do your own thing, and I don't think you're being overly ambitious by trying to capitalize on a region that doesn't have its own version of an IPA. West Coast is known for its West Coast, and even somebody like Sam Adams, who could now live and die by the New England IPA, they have their own West Coast style IPA before the New England IPA.
However,
if I could put a caveat in there, we're also not speaking for every brewery in the Mid-Atlantic.
And that's the other thing too. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're doing.
I want to be
your own
super
thing.
clear about that.
And I like that you're. And it's like I said earlier, I like that you're really trying to get an IPA that will last longer. And like you said, Chuck, tastes good when you come in, tastes good when you come back. It needs to last longer than most IPAs do. And there is a fine art to brewing that. And if it works, it will certainly work. And I think it's going to be one of the best damn things that could have happened to an IPA. Because the IPA popularity is just, it's way beyond the tipping point. Nobody wants to admit it. But this is something that could very well do it justice in the post-IPA phase.
I have nothing. The IPAs are amazing. I love IPAs.
Are we living in a post-IPA hellscape?
Post-apocalyptic IPA existence.
I
It's
love
all blonde ales.
Oh my god!
Yes.
I like
No,
it.
let's
Wit
bring back the brown ale. Come on, no one brews
Yeah.
a nut brown
Yeah.
anymore.
Yes.
I love a freaking nut brown ale.
I can get behind that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate that's as we're working through this and trying to understand what it means to us and what we're trying to do is I love IPAs. There's a place for them, but I just can't put out a beer that people have to clamor over and like climb over each other's heads to get to. So if we can, as a brewer, and I have a nice brewery back there, it's nice equipment. I'm not talking about me, but it's nice equipment. If I have that at my disposal, let's fix a problem.
Yeah.
Let's fix something. God forbid somebody do something new, and we're gonna again. I just have to be super super duper clear. This is something as we work through it and understand what it means to us. I'd like to actually see if there's other brewers who want to play around with the techniques and actually do that. But I am not speaking for. Yeah. I had to do the regional thing just because it's being very clear that we're trying to fix what I see as a flaw or a technical flaw with one style from my personal point of view. Hopefully that's not too...
Be different.
Is that overreaching?
Mid-Atlantic.
Is that overreaching?
And the
not at
best inventions come from having your own personal pain point, and yours with
Yeah.
an IPA is exactly what you said. So you're trying to tackle that from your own perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about number 6 yet?
Number 6, Wild Rico?
Wild Rico.
Wild
nice.
Rico.
Awesome.
Dry hop sour.
So we should have told you.
Ooh,
it's a
wow.
dry hop sour. There it is.
It's delicious.
So Wild Rico, there is a gentleman who lives a couple doors up. He's a great home brewer, and even before we got open, he was stopping by during construction, talking to him. Great guy, great family man. He has a beautiful family, and a new son too, a new baby. So we're kindred spirits because we're both fathers of young kids. but he's a great home brewer, and he does a lot of cool stuff up there. And he actually, in our quest to look at water treatment using reverse osmosis water and doing water profiles by style and by beer, he's a wealth of knowledge. And so it was really helpful for us
because he worked for Aqua, so that was helpful.
Yeah, that helped. And he brews in Berwyn, so like he knows the water here. He could help us instantly get the scoop on our water and understand. He gave us like 5 years of water records. Like, Freddie, I don't need all this, man. But like,
it was helpful.
It was helpful.
Was it?
It was. Seasonal changes in the water table actually, change.
Chuck read it.
I did actually read it. I have a file in my cabinet right now.
It was extremely helpful, but he wanted to do a beer. He did a beer at home. It was a dry hop sour, so we wanted to bring it here. His name's Freddie, but his dad calls him Rico. So the critical difference between what he did and what we did, he fermented in stainless steel at home. You do a kettle sour, and we have a different method of doing that here that I think produces a very clean lactic sour. It's a oxygen-free, very, very controlled lactic fermentation in the brew house. So you don't get we don't want the cheddar cheese, we don't want the vommy flavors and all those bad things. Yeah. It's got to be very clean. Yeah, it's got to be clean lactic fermentation. We have a method here that allows us to do that. And he fermented his in stainless steel. We chose to put ours in the barrel. So it's the same barrels that put out Mabel. And it's the same puncheons that we're running this beer through. And then dry hopping with a bunch of, big, sexy, hops and
Aussie
all the
hops.
tropical stuff. So what you end up with, and I'm sure I'll get killed for doing stuff like this, but we in the brew house, we drop it to a certain pH. It's a pH that I find to be tart, not overly sour. There's different levels of souring. It doesn't always have to rip your face off. Sometimes it's about making a tart beer. When you look at classic styles like Goza and what your Berliner Weiss, what are you really trying to achieve with that tartness? If it's just sour to be sour, that's not flavor positive. If it's there to blend with what other flavors you're going to add, if you're trying to recreate tropical fruit flavors, that actually makes sense to me. So the pH is not just an arbitrary thing, extremely controlled. It's like having another baby where if like at 3 o'clock in the morning, if it reaches the pH that we're aiming for, I have to come back in and boil it off and get it going. But it's a lot of sacrifice just to make a beer to hit the right pH.
There's nothing worse than when your baby at 3 in the morning hits the right pH.
It's the
and you have to
worst.
get out of bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you usually have to leave the country after that. You got to pack. It's just a pain in the neck.
That's why you have a go bag.
Dan and I disagree on pH levels, but in the end, he's usually right. So I can't really argue.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Well, I like what you said about the different levels of sourness and trying to make sure you have the right level of it. And I was going to say, it's not overly sour. It's pretty much the right balance of the sour versus I get like an almost biscuity aftertaste from the hoppiness in it, which I think is a very nice balance between the two. Any more sour would have been too much on that end. Any more hop bitterness or biscuity from that would have been way too much on that end. This is right in the middle.
Well, even levels of carbonation.
Sorry,
Levels of carbonation. The perception of this. I mean, the levels of carbonation produce carbonic acid, and you have to account for that and what the guest is actually going to experience when they have it. So I undercarbed it, intentionally undercarbed it, because I didn't want to mess up with that and make it more accentuated. And so, every time you get a bottle and it's overcarbed, you're going to sit there and swirl it until it reaches what you want out of your acidity.
Yeah.
So actually carbing it to the level that I think it doesn't play against the acidity that's already there.
Wild Rico was exactly what we're alluding to before. It's the mildly sour / tart and hoppy at the same time option for someone who doesn't know what's going on with that. So when I get the opportunity to explain to them, that came out of a puncheon. What's a puncheon? That's really a cool beer for someone who's looking for an IPA, doesn't know what sour is, never had a tart beer. There's your option. So another great sort of arrow in the so-called quiver, I guess. Terrible.
I'm
You
loving
really
the metaphors.
trailed
I'm loving
off
the
in the end.
Don't
Yeah.
edit that out.
Reverse
You
psychology.
learned well.
That was my greatest moment.
Yes.
I think we should have some fun now.
I was going to say this. I still have the
is it
perfect amount left
time?
in all
Oh,
of my
wow.
tasters. But the reason I want to save some of these is because, of course, we have to play some sort of game.
We have to.
We have to. It's
We can
just,
skip it,
it's
guys.
like Wayne
I
said,
can
we're
save it for next time.
contractually obligated to play some happy fun time game. So sorry, you'll have to think of something else for next time too.
Cheers, the internet, and welcome to Happy Fun Time Games, the only podcast trivia segment that can't hold a candle. Today, we are playing a game We have not played
It's a head fake.
in quite some time.
I'm so glad I saw that.
Today we are playing a game called Tappd Brews.
Wait, what?
Oh,
It's
no.
not libation or fabrication?
No, it is not.
Oh,
This is
crap.
a game in which you must guess
Audible.
Oh, no.
the highest rated beers by style in
Blue
the
42.
U.S. on Untappd as of yesterday.
Say it again?
Wait.
I love Untappd.
The highest rated beers on Untappd?
Yes, by style.
Ever?
In the United States.
Okay.
As of yesterday. Multiple choice options.
Okay.
So you don't have to pull it out of your
No,
ass.
that's fine.
All right.
I do
Hey.
not recall.
I do not recall. I refuse to answer. Just in case you're wondering, top beer ratings on Untappd are calculated using a Bayesian average, which is derived by adding the product of the average number of ratings in all beers and the average rating for all beers to the product of the number of votes for the beer in question and the pure average rating for the beer in question for any beer with a minimum of 150 ratings.
That's what I was going to say.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we will begin, as always, to my left with Dan, the top rated beer on Untappd as of yesterday,
Wait, the top?
the tippity top.
Dan, the audio guy.
Dan, are
quite
you
a few.
delaying answering this question?
I think you
Well,
stalling.
yeah.
Wait,
She-
multiple
she
choice.
started-
Multiple choice.
It's multiple choice. The
Yeah.
top rated
All right.
sour ale
Oh,
All right.
sour. Okay.
on Untappd
As of right now.
as of last night when I put this together.
Okay.
Is it A, Angel of Darkness from Wicked Weed, R&D Sour Fruit from New Glarus, or Chesmonis from Alpine Beer Company? Top rated sour
That was on
ale.
our last episode.
I know. Top rated sour ale on Untappd.
I'm gonna
Question. Can I phone a friend?
Nope.
go- no. Can I phone a friend? My friend is just untapped. I will say Wicked Weed.
All right, you are saying A, Angel of Darkness from Wicked Weed. Chuck, what do you think?
I know New Glarus doesn't have a vast distribution, but I'm going to go to New Glarus because people are super devoted
Okay.
to them.
All right, going B, New
I do love
Glarus,
Wicked Weed, though.
R&D Sour Fruit, and other Dan.
Steph was showing me a text, so I do not recall the answer.
It's all my fault.
as with,
Soching.
with all
Alpine,
matters,
New Glarus, or Wicked Weed?
Top rated sour ale on Untappd. Angel of Darkness, Wicked Weed, R&D Sour Fruit, New Glarus, Chesmonis, Alpine Beer Company.
I usually defer to Chuck on all matters, but I'm going to say Wicked Weed.
All right, you're deferring to other Dan.
I'm
in
going to
this case.
say Alpine just because it was on the last episode.
The only one who's correct is Chuck. It is B, R&D
Yes.
Sour Fruit from New Glarus, also known as Very Sour Blackberry or VSB to the cool kids. R&D Sour Fruit from New Glarus was a 5% ABV American Wild Ale released in 2013. It was the fourth in their series of spontaneous sour ales. VSB was fermented and aged in oak barrels on yeast lees with Oregon blackberries and re-fermented in the bottle. Had an average rating on Untappd of 4.56. Some choice comments on this beer.
That's not. I thought it'd be higher than that.
William F. said, Mother of God. Jocelyn M. says, my life is complete. And lots of people use the word jammy, which apparently is a new thing to describe beer.
Jammy?
Jammy and jammy.
That's a wine term.
It's
but-
all over the
Okay.
fucking place. Yeah, you pretentious pieces of shit.
Beginning of the end.
Yeah.
That's the beginning
Wow.
of the end.
Yeah.
Moving on, and
I'm out of
Chuck
sour beer
is
game.
going to
Thank
guess
you.
first on this one. What was
I'm
the
winning,
top
by the way.
rated beer in the category American Barley Wine on Untappd? Was it A Deal with the Devil by Anchorage Brewing Company, Maltose Falcons by Firestone Walker, or the K13 by Voodoo Brewing Company?
Firestone Walker.
Saying Maltose
It's gotta
Falcon.
be.
Dan, what do you think?
I would have to agree with that.
All right, also saying B, the Firestone Walker.
I'm
and
going with the
Steph.
dreaminess.
Oh, also going with the dreaminess.
Oh, so predictable.
Got a
Yeah.
runaway here.
I'll go Voodoo.
Other Dan is going Voodoo. Absolutely no one is correct. Because it is A Deal with the Devil from Anchorage Brewing Company.
That's what I meant to say.
17.3% ABV Behemoth from Anchorage Brewing is aged 11 months in cognac barrels. There is a 14-line poem from the brewer that accompanies this beer, but it's not
Why
very
don't
good.
you write poems?
So I'm not going to... You could write better ones than
You're
that.
a fucking
It's
English
not good.
teacher.
I thought
It's
about
not
it,
good.
and Chuck told me not to do it.
Yeah.
No,
Told
fair
him that
enough.
was
You
a bad
should.
idea.
It's kind of douchey.
I'm
Thank you.
see
True. True
I
that.
think so. I think
Yeah.
it would be romantic.
romantic.
Okay.
Imagine that on Tappd.
Okay.
Romantic.
Yeah.
Douchey romantic.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
New thing.
Can I-
Synonymous.
Whatever we
Yeah.
drink next, I'm going to comment that this is romantic.
Speaking of Untappd, crazy thing. Sorry to interrupt the
No,
game
you're
for
fine.
a
Go
second.
ahead.
There's a gentleman.
Edit that.
There's a gentleman on. Don't edit. There's a gentleman on Untappd who, and I noticed because I looked it up because he was writing
Do you
poetry.
use the term loosely, gentlemen?
This is great. Actually,
Yeah. There's a
That is
gentleman on
really cool.
Untappd who was rating beers, and I don't care about the rating. Chuck looked at that. I don't look at it, but he was writing poetry in the comments. Had
Very
nothing
cool.
to do with the beer. It was just really incredible poetry. And I looked at it because Chuck's like, "You're Englishy, don't you know what that says?" And I'm like,
Englishy?
No,
That's what I
it's
sound
not."
like.
And I even I went through, I googled a little bit of it, I couldn't find it. He's writing original poetry on our page, and I saw he was using it for other breweries as well. Guy's like a really great poet. He's going around to random breweries and rating on tap and putting his own poetry in it. If that guy's listening, come in, please. It's awesome. The guy's an incredible
Untappd
writer.
Poet Bandit.
Yeah, I'll take that.
That's pretty cool.
I'll take that over. Not
It's
my
legit.
style. 1 out of 5.
Yeah. Oh,
I'll
geez.
take that shit. Yeah.
Here we go.
I hate
No,
barley
here we go.
I'm still winning, by the way.
Yes, everybody was wrong. It was a
Nobody
deal
cares.
with the devil.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, so this had an average rating of 0.45. Speaking of Untappd comments, Patrick M. said, "This is like the archetype of what a barley wine should be." Hugh S. said, "Yep, I'm gonna need an Uber." And Justin M. said, "I could stick my dick in it."
I wanted to put.
If this is going to be that kind of party, I'm going to stick my dick in the mashed
I'm going to
potatoes.
stick my dick in the barley wine. Moving on, and the Dan who is not my brother is going to guess first on this one, and this is the category Extra Special Bitter. The good old ESB was the top-rated ESB on Untappd. 20-Year Storm by Heavy Seas Brewing, Don't Panic by Carton, or Lord Rear Admiral by Three Floyds.
Oh,
3 Floyds.
yeah, it has to be 3 Floyds.
All right, Dan and Steph both saying Three Floyds. Dan and Steph both saying Three Floyds rather readily. That was difficult.
The
to get out.
arsonist had oddly shaped feet.
The arsonist had oddly shaped feet. Other Dan.
I will also say 3 Floyds.
All right, everybody guessing C, and finally Chuck.
I'll go
Bandwagon.
I'll just go Carton. I gotta go.
You know Carton?
Yeah.
All right. Once again, everyone is wrong.
Son of
Seriously?
a bitch.
Heavy Seas?
Heavy
Really?
Seas?
Get out of
Yeah.
your damn mind.
Don't ask
Baltimore.
me. It's the people on Untappd. 20-Year Storm from Heavy Seas. A 10.3% ABV Imperial ESB aged in bourbon
Imperial
barrel.
Say that.
Okay, all right.
Where did that come from?
Oh, yeah,
Come
yeah.
on, wait a
You mean the
minute.
thing that isn't that beer?
ESB,
Yep.
not ESB. Not
Yep.
important. Moving on.
You know, actually, it's interesting. That it's a common theme I've come across.
Oh, I've had this beer, by the way. 10.3%. That's not an ESB.
No, it's not. And
This is bullshit. I
so
call
if you
bullshit.
look at
Agreed.
styles that aren't like barley wine, IPA, the big popular ones, the top rated ones are always like the barrel aged version of that style, or like the sour version
You
of
have
that
to disclose
style.
that.
Fuck you,
Like
Untappd.
Well, I didn't.
Not that
so,
style.
and I don't care because this is Happy Fun Time Games, and I am the fucking law.
Yeah, well, we're not
All right.
happy and we're not having fun.
You were on my playground, girlfriend.
Yes. Regardless of what you call it, it was
Hold
a
my pocket while I walk around. This is
Commemorative-
my place.
20th anniversary ale from Heavy Seas, a throwback to the first Heavy Seas brew, Winter Storm Ale, and a thank you to fellow beer lovers. If it makes you feel any better, the average rating was only 3.91%.
Hey,
It won't.
Chuck,
It
you're
won't.
still winning.
I am still winning. Thank you.
Choice
for pointing
comments
that out.
on this
Yes.
one. John W. says a nice barrel aroma, but it is very smooth. Never would have guessed 10%. Very smooth. A really good beer. Smooth. 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 Rodney C. says, I included that one just for Dan. Nice malty taste prune. Big beer. Awesome.
Is that a translation?
It sounds like a Google Translate comment.
That's the
I'm
worst
not-
haiku I've ever heard.
I translate. Okay.
Yeah.
Sad.
I mean that's fucking
Much
poetry.
amazed.
That's poetry right there. And Captain A said this beer is rad. Moving on to our final beer of the
Thank
game.
God.
Things are looking sad. I will tell you that only one person has 1 point right
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
and I will
wonder
let
who.
you
We
work
know.
out who that is.
Should we ask who that
Yeah.
is?
So our final beer of the game, the highest rated beer on Untappd in the category Pater's beer.
Wow.
Yeah, what's a Pater's beer?
Pater's gonna paint.
Yeah. In case you don't know, it's a Monk's Lawnmower beer. It means father's beer in Dutch. They're low ABV Belgian table beer brewed by Trappist monks to be consumed for sustenance while maintaining enough clear-headedness for the day's endeavors. It's also known as enkel, which is single in Dutch, as in single, double, triple. So that's the style we're talking about. The highest rated Pater's beer on Untappd. Steph's going to guess first on this one. Is it Spencer Trappist Ale from Spencer Brewery?
No.
Is it Myrrh by Soul Artisan Ales? Or is it Communal by Haw River Farmhouse Ales?
Probably Soul.
You going with Soul? You feeling the Soul?
Yep.
All right, Dan the first.
Total bullshit.
Yeah. What were they again? I'm sorry.
Spencer Trappist Ale from Spencer Brewery, Myrrh by Soul Artisan Ales, or Communal by Haw River Farmhouse Ales.
I'll go Communal.
Going Communal. Number C. Chuck, what do you think?
Going statistically, C is the answer.
Statistically, C is the answer. All right, fair enough. And other Dan?
I'm going to commit questionnaire seppuku, and I'm going to guess D, Whitcap Patters beer.
You can do that if you want,
Yeah.
but you're wrong.
He's always wrong.
Other Dan and Chuck were
Whitcap
correct.
is a Patters beer.
Yes.
Yes.
I have a point.
What do I win?
It was Communal from Haw River Farmhouse Ales. It was brewed using a modest amount of Belgian Pilsner malt, caramel wheat, and toasted amaranth to help build body and provide a little grassy sweetness. Communal is Haw River's version of a Belgian table beer and is fermented in oak brandy barrels, which are 1 barrels, not 2, with a blend of Brettanomyces strains for a funky,
my
dry
goodness.
twist
Wow.
on a session beer.
So it's not a Patters
Also
beer.
not disclosed.
Yeah, Steph just rage quit. I know. There's a lot of...
Steph is in protest
Yeah,
mode, right?
it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
None of this matters.
Guess D.
None of this matters. This
Yes,
had an average rating of 3.8. Some choice comments. Hokey Brian said, Super Bowl Sunday. Go Cubs. Beth W said, delicious and awesome with cheese.
Wow.
So we're going to add up the points real quick. I don't even
Do
know.
you need an
I mean,
abacus
this is-
for that, or-
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is sad.
One
This is
purple.
sad. I'm
Area
calculating the
2,
area under a
and
curve right
D.
now.
Pi R
It's
squared.
so
Yeah.
difficult. Yeah.
Slide rule.
Our winner is Chuck with 2 whole points, a full
Wow.
50%.
Thank you very much.
In second place,
Batting
with
500,
1
it's pretty
point,
good. Yeah.
is Dan.
Yeah.
Which one?
Oh yeah.
Dan the sound man, Dan.
not
Dan,
Dan the brewer.
Dan Bam Baker.
Yeah.
I want it in my mouth.
And tied at last place with absolutely no points are Dan and the currently absent Steph, who
Steph is
rage
angry.
quit the
Yeah,
podcast.
She did rage quit.
She better come back because her segment is next.
Something about
But
eating
before
this
she
game, right?
does, this is the part of the podcast where we give shout-outs to our awesome patrons on Patreon, those including Wolfgang Von Colt, Victoria Miles, Ron McDonald, woo, the one and only That's No Baloney, Joe Mansell. I did it correctly that time.
The one and only, that's no baloney.
And finally, our own hometown brewery, Oak Brook Brewing Company. Thank you so much to our generous patrons.
Yay.
If you want to become a patron of the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/beerbusters to learn more and find out how you can help support the show and get cool behind-the-scenes perks. But as I alluded to earlier in the episode, we're going to put a call out right now to our patrons and our listeners and our followers on social media. We want you to tell us what rewards you want to see us have on Patreon. So if you're not a patron, what would entice you to become a patron? Even if you donate as little as $1 a month, which is perfectly fine with us, we'll take it. What would you like to see us give as rewards? We thought about giving out T-shirts, stickers. We do behind-the-scenes stuff. Maybe we'll record some bonus content. I don't know. So if you have any ideas, shoot us an email at info@beerbusterspodcast.com and tell us what would entice you to become a patron of Beer Busters.
And let's not forget that our newest perk for the $50 a month patron involves Steph wearing a Chewbacca onesie.
What?
Yes, we are calling that the I did it all for the Wookiee level
I
of
did
donations.
it all for the Wookiee.
If you
The
become
what?
a patron
The Wookiee.
for $50, which isn't even an official tier on
I'll drop
Patreon
a
right
50
now.
on that.
If you become a patron for $50 a podcast episode,
I'm down.
Steph will wear a Chewbacca onesie to every recording from now until the end of time.
No.
Really?
Wow.
That's
No.
Chuck bold.
Chuck donated 100 just to win that freaking quiz. It's like his Make-A-Wish. I win.
Make-A-Wish.
I win.
I want to win Happy Fun Time games.
Funny. Not
Way to
funny.
go, buddy.
Wow.
Can we just skip Know Your Beer and just
On
drink
that
more beer?
bombshell.
Let's
drink some more beer.
It's about time for...
No. Know Your Beers.
Steph, read quick.
Read quick. It's like a page and a half. I can't read this much.
Do you want me to
Do you want to
do
drink more
it?
beers while we do this?
Here, let's each take a paragraph.
We're going to do like round
yeah,
robin
read a
style?
paragraph
All right,
and pass it.
Wait, what do we call this in grade school? Is it popcorn?
Yeah, we'll call it. I have no idea what
Or,
you're
We're
talking
not
about.
supposed to do
down
that
the lane.
anymore.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to do popcorn anymore? So this is from an article written by everyone's favorite Gordon Strong that week on BYO.com. Common beer faults. Here are some of the faults most frequently seen in beers submitted to homebrew contests and their most likely causes. How the fuck do you say that word?
Acetaldehyde.
That word is a precursor to ethanol in beer's yeast fermentation pathway. It lends a green apple-like aroma to beer.
Science!
Running a healthy fermentation and letting beer
Everybody say green, apple.
Did you guys practice that?
Letting
that
beer
must have been a long ride down here. These two assholes. green apple.
I think you're my new favorite band.
Okay, sorry.
Running a healthy fermentation and letting beer condition sufficiently will eliminate any excess.
Acetaldehyde.
Thank you. I know this one. Astringency. Astringency is a
Oh, he's reading all of them. I thought we were
No,
passing around.
I'll go. I mean, we lost somebody, so I'm covering his.
Oh, are you reading?
okay.
You have to change your voice so it sounds like Chuck.
Hi, guys.
Astringency. Astringency is a dry, puckering mouthfeel of the
I can't
same
wait till he
type
hears this.
as found in many teas, some red wines, and when eating tannic fruits such as choke cherry.
That hurts my throat.
Did you say choke cherry?
Yes.
Best know your beer.
Yeah, you know all the times like choke cherry. All the times you ate that.
Yep.
In various stringent beers, it can also have a rough or sandpaper-like feel on the tongue.
The worst is a rough choke cherry.
Oh my god.
It is often confused with bitterness. Astringency is caused by tannins.
Not Biff.
Thank you. I was hoping somebody would. Astringency is caused by tannins, a large group of polyphenols found in plants. Problematic levels of tannins can be extracted from malted grains by excessive sparging or sparging at temperatures over 170 degrees Fahrenheit or 77 degrees Celsius.
Keep sparging, bro.
Especially near the end of lautering. Very dark malts and highly roasted grains yield more tannins than lighter malts. Any other plant material added during the boil, including hops or other spices, can contribute astringency. Popcorn Wayne.
Yes. Contamination.
Canasta
is a game.
He's so triggered by your use of popcorn.
I know, right? Canasta is a game that old people play on cruise ships.
I almost actually did a spit take.
Contaminating microorganisms can cause a variety of off flavors, aromas, and mouthfeels. Common contamination-related faults include flavors and aromas that are tart/sour, plastic/Band-Aid-like, butterscotch or buttery, medicinal, vegetal, and vinegar-like.
It's almost like a spite reading.
Almost. Some of these faults can be caused by other things as well. Although there are a number of different bacteria and yeast that can contaminate wort or beer, the corrective measure is the same in all cases. Blow it up with fire. Oh, no. Clean your brewing equipment and environment thoroughly and sanitize any piece of brewing equipment that will come into contact with chilled wort or beer. Likewise, do not repitch yeast following a contaminated batch.
No shit.
Diacetyl.
Oh, diacetyl, my least favorite. At modern levels, diacetyl tastes and smells like butterscotch. It also contributes a slick coating mouthfeel. At high levels, it strongly resembles butter. Diacetyl is, in fact, the main flavor used on popcorn. At low levels, it can be confused
popcorn.
with caramel flavors. And most beer drinkers describe beer without diacetyl as being cleaner than those containing diacetyl, and it's considered a fault in most beers. Diacetyl is produced by yeast, and if present, some contaminating microorganisms during fermentation. In late fermentation, it is taken up by the yeast, contamination or prematurely separating the beer from the yeast in primary fermentation are two common causes of excess diacetyl. In some lagers, the fermentation temperature is raised to ale-like temperatures near the end of fermentation. It is held there until sampling indicates that the diacetyl level has fallen below the level of perception. This is called a diacetyl rest. Aerating your wort during primary fermentation will increase diacetyl production.
And now, my
Would you like to
children,
read about DMS?
let us take a
DMS.
diacetyl rest.
Yes. It's D-rest on the streets.
Yeah, DRAS.
That's what we call
DRAS,
it.
come on.
Represent.
DMS, dimethyl sulfide.
Not to be confused with DMX.
Oh yeah, he's always welcome in my pills. Yes, welcome back, Chuck. Well played, sir. I don't know if I can rebound from that. Dimethyl sulfide lends a cooked corn flavor to beer. It's primarily caused by a weak boil or slow wort cooling, both bad cause, especially when a large amount of very pale malts are used. And Steph, knowing your beer,
Yep.
what's the number one culprit? We talk about pale malts and DMS.
I'm worried about soching right now.
Oh, okay, you're
X
searching.
gonna give it to
Yeah.
you.
Okay. The pills, especially with pills, it's one of the biggest things. If guys are doing pills and you're not doing water treatment or having a very, very heavy boil, it'll come out.
Is it Rolling Rock, the one they say, or is it Red Hook? Which one do they always say is DMS?
I would guess Rolling Rock.
Probably
but
Rolling Rock.
I don't know.
I kind of like Red Hook.
Brew with corn.
Higher alcohols, also called fusel alcohols or fusel oils, are alcohol molecules with carbon atoms that with more carbon atoms than ethanol, a 2-carbon alcohol. In case you were wondering, higher alcohols lend a hot alcoholic solvent-like character to beer, which can be reminiscent of nail polish remover. Or Chuck, I don't know if you did any huffing earlier in your life.
Or
Lots of
earlier
it.
tonight.
Yeah.
Mostly Glade.
Not funny.
Glade, yeah.
Funny, not funny?
Not funny.
Yeah. The primary cause of excessive higher alcohols in a beer are high fermentation temperatures or yeast that struggles to complete a fermentation. The strong beers are more prone to developing this fault, especially when not adequately pitched with healthy yeast. Some yeast strains produce more higher alcohols under stress than others.
How many paragraphs are left?
One, I feel like I should.
No.
Rich.
Because Chuck can't read. Rich has to read the last paragraph.
Physically
Backed by
incapable.
popular demand.
Thank you, Rich, for
Yay.
saving me from terrible embarrassment.
Oxidation.
Is there an after party?
Whoa.
Oxidation causes stale flavors and aromas in beer that resemble paper or cardboard. It can also cause sherry-like flavors, especially in strong beers. Any exposure to oxygen after the beer has been fermented sets the stage for oxidative flavors and aromas to develop. Splashing of beer when racking to bottles or kegs is a common cause. Eventually, all beers will show signs of oxidation. Storing beers cold will prolong the amount of time they remain fresh.
And now you know.
Well, I'm almost done with these beers that were in front of me, so we might as well.
Beer me! Beer me! Beer me! Beer me!
Round 2, fight.
More beer has magically appeared in front of us,
It really has.
including there's fancy glassware that has beer in it.
There is.
Ooh, that's a
Hashtag
good hashtag.
proper glassware.
Fancy glassware?
No, I
Fancy
like fancy
glassware.
glassware.
But we aren't starting with the fancy beer, are we?
No, I don't think so.
We are starting with number 9.
Number
The
9.
not fancy beers.
Number 9.
Yes.
Number 9. Number
Yeah.
9.
In the small
number
glasses.
9. What is number 9?
Chuck, why don't you tell us about number 9?
Besides a revolution.
New Chuck? New Chuck?
New Chuck.
New
No,
Chuck.
same
New
Chuck.
Chuck.
Same Chuck.
Number 9, we have Cassiopeia.
That's correct.
On number 9, Amber Kolsch.
Ooh.
Very interesting. I was told never before done style, correct? Very unique style. Let me say that.
It's Germans hate it, is how I'd put it. We wanted this, again, the idea of brewing towards people who are coming through our door. Taking a Kolsch, putting a little more malt body back into it. Basically, if somebody walks in here, we live in Pennsylvania. I'm from Central PA originally. My family's from West Virginia. So if somebody walks in and says they want a lager, here's your lager.
Yeah.
And actually making it a beer that I it's something I'd enjoy drinking. Straightforward, malty, clean, and that's an Amber Kolsch.
What's really cool about it is it's clean and crisp like a Kolsch, but it has that biscuity, almost pretzel-like malt character to it, that great, Pennsylvania flavor. And it's really nice, especially in the back end.
Is there a Hair Dutch in this?
Is there a Her Dutch? From
It's got a
Beer?
hair of Dutch.
Yeah? Where do you get a Hair Dutch?
From original recipe, Josh?
At Deer Creek Malt House.
I wish there were. I've been begging them to make some double Dutch.
Oh.
This is actually,
There's no double Dutch in this, really?
There is not. There is a fair amount of pills. Some Weyerbacher is our all the German stuff we do, except when we say it's 100% Deer Creek is Weyerbacher.
Okay.
So Vienna, the smallest amount of Carafa dehusk. So that's Cassiopeia.
It's delicious.
It is really good.
It's really good.
What is
It
number
really
10?
Number
New Chuck.
New Chuck, what is number 10?
Number
Same
10.
Chuck that's always been here.
Same Chuck, yeah. Nothing different.
Just
10
slightly
is
prettier.
The Nido.
You're the new Dave Walker. I'll explain. I'll explain later. She has a weird affinity for.
Let's not go that far. She's the new Scott.
All right, yeah.
It's getting better and better.
Now I'm entangled in this.
Number 10 is the Nido Petite Green Tea Saison. Really nice herbal flavor.
Ooh.
Light, crisp. Great recommendation for a lot of people who come in. A lot of people really love it, too.
It's really good because it's a saison, and I love saison.
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 You have to say it like that, real snooty, like.
Yes, saison. I like the green tea. I like beers with tea is kind of like a sort of recent-ish trend, and most of them that I've tried have been good. Probably one or two that weren't. This is not one of the ones that weren't. This is good.
Right on. I'll take it.
All right.
Yeah.
Please put that on tap. This is not one of the ones that weren't. Yeah. Yeah. The biggest thing is with doing a 4% saison. How do you get expressiveness from the yeast? A little bit of peppery, a little bit of fruity, but also make it a flavorful beer at 4%, light but flavorful. So taking things out a lot of time. We were talking about the philosophy of adding things to beer. If it's green tea. Don't jump the track too much. Just make it should complement something's in there. So you get that herbal, peppery stuff from the yeast. Use green tea to expound upon that, and that's right. that sort of delicacy and balance is something that we do here.
Nice. And what's interesting is like you talk about that herbal and peppery quality that most saison yeast will give you, and this definitely has. But you would kind of feel like if I were to if somebody said add a tea to that, I'd think like a black tea because that already has like those
the Darjeeling and all that stuff.
Yeah, those similar qualities. But a green tea gives you it makes it a little brighter, a little more fresh.
Yeah,
adds that sort of springy character to it.
Yeah, I mean, I see, especially if you're using black tea, like doing something with a little bit more malt behind it, a little sweetness as well. I could see that kind of you're actually filling in a pepper flavor where it shouldn't be in that style, but it might work. But you should brew it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, or you should because you've got a brewery.
I should. Fine. You're the new Chuck now. You're trying. Yeah. Go brew this.
Wait a minute.
Guess and a half.
Yeah, big shoes to fill, man.
They're not.
I wanted that job.
8.5. All right. Beer 11.
Yeah. What's number 11? It's got a nice amber hue.
11. Wait,
it's the color of my energy.
I know.
11 doesn't
exist. Unlisted.
We moved it mid-service. It's actually on there.
We are off.
What's the number 11 now?
Wunderkind?
Wunderkind? Yeah.
No one told me that.
Yeah.
I feel like she should know.
I've been up talking the whole time. I don't know what's going on down there.
There's a really nice malty characteristic from this.
Wunderkind is 100%
Deer Creek for that.
100% Deer Creek malt. So when we work with their malt,
It's got a Hera Dutch.
Yeah, Hera Dutch. A little bit of there's actually no. We didn't get any. Can you get me some? Can you get me Dutch?
I'll get you some Dutch.
Deer Creek.
Yeah, double
I'll call
Dutch.
Josh right now.
Double Dutch. I had a
Dutch.
I had a bock that Trogs. I think Trogs made a bock with their double Dutches. Freaking
yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that was a great beer.
Yeah.
When we have the pleasure of brewing with Deer Creek, we try to do beers that really foreground their work. So we did a Weizenbock called Bantlers with their
Hashtag Bantlers.
Bantlers.
It's a hashtag. Yeah.
It's a hashtag?
I don't do hashtags.
Yes, know what that means.
No, but
I don't know what that means. GMO corn? What?
And with this is actually, like I said before, this Michael, my kind of sort of brother-in-law, who's helping out. This is the first beer that he brewed on the system, and I was in the office. I was kind of yelling at him through the window, but he got in the tank, and we fermented together, doing our lager
He
procedure.
literally got in the tank?
No, we would not allow that. Awesome. So
we're on to the fancy glassware.
Yeah, this
fancy
is
hashtag fancy glassware.
It's really good.
It smells amazing.
It's really good.
Oh my god.
So this is our first. We have a series of beers. All the stuff that comes out of the barrels, the aleatory series. So the follow-up question that you're not asking because you're hitting water. What does aleatory mean? Is that fair?
Yes,
that would have been the next question.
I just want to clear my palate to make sure I can taste this right.
What are you talking about, English major? Yeah, aleatory art.
Yes.
The idea behind the series is aleatory art is things that are created. It's not by chance and it's not by happenstance, but it's a matter of working with what you have. So, like a good example, if you were doing a documentary or a film that you wanted to present to the public, say you did a 6-part film, but you didn't dictate what order they should watch them in. There's an element of chance there. So actually, you're letting somebody play with something. So it's not like ready-made art where you're just kind of grabbing letters out of the Scrabble bag and like, this is a poem now.
Right.
Aleatory art, there's a level of preparation, but
giving pieces and allowing the
there's
viewer to sort of arrange it themselves.
Yeah, and so for us, the barrels kind of present us with a lot of different flavors, a lot of it's people who are passionate about it, and a lot of breweries who blend between barrels do the same thing. It's a lot more like winemaking. So the whole aleatory series is basically when the barrels are ready, we present it, and we were just acknowledging that there's a level of chance to things. There's a level of us putting things together as they present themselves to us. So with this, the first aleatory, we wanted to go big or go home. So when we make beers like this, where we add fruit to things, I weigh about 250 pounds. So we always fruit in Dansworth. So this is 500 pounds. There's 2 Dans of raspberries in this.
Nice.
So
Dans of
there's 2 Dans worth of raspberries in this. It's a lot of raspberries in one batch. But yeah, you get a lot of intense, fresh raspberry. Can we say jammy? Are we allowed to say jammy now?
I think we can. I guess.
There's a lot of intense,
I still
fresh
don't like it.
I don't like it. It doesn't feel good to say that.
Yeah, it's weird.
But yeah, light oak, light tartness, light funk. Honestly, a lot of this is just kind of bolstering up that fresh raspberry flavor. So I hope you guys enjoy it.
It's incredible.
It's really good.
So when does this actually get released?
Monday.
All right.
A week ago.
Coming down today.
Which will be last week when you're hearing this. Yeah.
It's probably gone by now. Sorry.
Get in your time machine and get the F down here. No, come on down to Dan's Barrel Beers Monday. So yeah, as far as bottle releases, we've been open for 6 months, and it really is a matter of when we have projects that are ready, we'll blend and bottle and move forward with that. But we don't have a schedule yet. We're really trying to work with one of the biggest things with bottle releases and managing that is making it as hassle-free as possible.
Yeah.
So half of this batch we sold pre-order, so people could kind of like, you get it, you buy the opportunity to come in, and then you come in and the beer's ready for you, and shazam.
Right.
The other half will do a traditional thing. The biggest thing is respecting the neighborhood, and we do not want lines. When it comes to respecting other businesses, we want to bring people in, sit down, get a taco, get some beer, and get the beer as you like to get it. As we intentionally picked like 4 o'clock on a Monday to do it. First of all, we're not open, so when honestly, it's part of our bigger vision as a company. I wouldn't build a brew pub my daughter couldn't come to. I have a 3-year-old daughter, so when I see families coming here, whether it be a Sunday or a Tuesday afternoon, whatever they want to do, to have a line of people who like sour beers and like doing all this stuff, kind of walking through their dining experience. Neither one of those groups wants to get in the other one's way. Guys who want to come or gals who want to come for a bottle release just want to do the bottle release experience. People who bring their family in here don't want a bottle release going on the same day. So we're going to open on a day that we're not usually open. Let's just do that for a day. Let's do bottle release La Cabra for a day, and that doesn't interrupt the experience. So, like, a lot of very valuable people and families that have come through. We don't want to kind of mingle those two groups. Yeah. It's intentional because we want to be what people want us to be. It's kind of like the Batman thing, And so for a Monday, we're going to turn into a beer nerd place, and we're beer nerds too. We like that experience, but maybe not on a Sunday when families are coming in for the dinner. So
that's awesome. That's like that's very thoughtful. I don't know a better way to put it, but that's very thoughtful. Like, kind of, that. You want to cater to all of your audience, and you don't want to inconvenience any of them.
No, they're looking for different things when they come in.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're looking for different things, so let's make it a way that we can all be happy, and it's win-win. And if they can also be at a bottle release where they come into a building. Like I told Chuck, if you want to go in the cold room, I spray him with cold water to have you want like that full experience. Yeah. Dude, I got sprayed for 30 seconds to get this beer. It tastes so good
for 3 hours.
Yeah, if they want that, I will gladly do that. Yeah, but it should be pleasurable. I hate waiting in line for things. I'd rather sit down and be treated like a human being, and that's what we're going to do here, as long as we can, and we're going to do that.
That's awesome. That's really...
Cheers to that.
If I were going on the World Wide Web and I say, damn it, I want to know more about La Cabra, where do I go?
You go to www. Is there 3 W's?
3 W's. 3 W's.
Okay,
typically.
Good. It's still the same. Again.
http://LaCabrabrewing.com,
or you'd follow us on Facebook. And also we have multiple social media outlets.
They're all La Cabra Brewing.
I'm talking Instagram. I'm talking Twitter. I'm talking Snapchat. If you're into that kind of thing, yeah. Untappd. Just about any social media forum that I don't know about, you probably know about it, and you can find us there. Yeah, or you can come to Berwyn. You could do that too.
You could physically come here.
You could actually come.
You kind of want to see Scott's dimples. Don't just look at the social media, right?
They are wonderful.
They are wonderful.
You can meet the incredible people who work here. You don't really want to meet
all the Chucks.
You don't all the Chucks that work here.
All the Dans and all the Chucks.
Yeah. You don't want to meet this Dan. This Dan probably won't be there that day, but that's okay too.
Just let me know. Maybe I'll be here.
Yeah, right on.
I've been told there's a futon waiting for me.
The couches are nice out there.
They are really nice.
Right?
Yeah. We know where to find you online. We mentioned festival season earlier. I'm assuming people can go to the aforementioned website and find all the festivals you're going to be at. And
hold on, actual Chuck wants to say something.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry, new Chuck.
Oh, Christ.
This is actually the fourth Chuck.
Take your beer.
Yeah, don't let Chuck have it.
I've had it many times. Festival season, yes, please.
Yeah. So what's happening with festival season?
Yeah. So obviously we're very new, but we're jumping right in. April 29th, we're at Maniac Brew Festival.
Oh.
Yes, that'll be fun.
Which I'm really sad we won't be
I've
there.
heard it's down by the river.
It is, and it's amazing. I was
Not in
there
a van,
last year.
though.
Government cheese.
Sorry.
I think all of us were just.
Everyone was waiting for that one. Sorry. Kind of just stole that right out. We're hosting the Beer Garden at the Chester County Mac and Cheese Festival on June 4th. We're really excited to be a part of it. I am from Downingtown. I've lived there for the past 4 or 5 years, and we're really excited to be a part of that. Chef John is going to make some awesome mac and cheese.
Dan had a taste of the cheese sauce.
I did.
Really? Cheese sauce is something
the
serious.
cheese sauce that came with the burger. Oh my god, that was worth that extra $1.
Yeah, it was legit. The point is,
Worth the extra $1.
the mac and cheese is
the greatest
good
review
on its
ever.
own, but we're also going to be hosting
The upcharge is okay.
We're going to be hosting the beer garden there. So come out and see us. We'll be serving the beer at that festival.
Important question.
Yes.
What day of the week is that?
That's a really good
Sunday.
question.
It's a Sunday?
June
Day.
4th.
All right.
Beyond that, we're at the Wayne Music Festival on June 10th. And then on the 17th, we're at the Westchester Beer Festival. So beyond that, we're looking toward Kennett Brew Fest and all that other stuff. So please come out and join us. We're happy to serve beer and spread the good word. Thank you all so much.
It'll be good to get out of the building.
I know I'm way less attractive than the other Chuck, and that's okay.
Very true.
But
just a little bit.
But there is a very flattering picture of you on Instagram right now.
It is actually pretty good. It shows my pecs.
We
Anyway,
need it in the-
let's drink a bunch more beer.
Yeah.
Can we shut down the panel and just drink a bunch more beer?
Absolutely.
Great talk.
Thanks,
Great
guys.
talk,
So-
everybody.
Good talk.
Obviously, this was a hell of a time. If you can't tell by the fact that
There's Buffalo.
we said last time
Lots
we were
of
going to do this. It's been an hour and 42 minutes of recording.
In
I'm
real
sorry,
time?
2 hours and 42
2 hours
minutes.
and 42 minutes.
2 hours and 42 minutes of actual recording.
So everybody out there in
my
podcast
God.
land,
Start your math.
compare that to the actual length
my
of the
God.
episode as it's released.
Do your math.
and you will know how much
subtract?
shit was cut
Subtract?
out. Yes.
Yes, a little
The
subtraction.
complex mathematical operation that is subtraction.
So remember, there's 60 minutes in an hour, not 100.
Yes, exactly.
You
Very
can do
important.
this
Very
math.
important to
Good
remember.
You can do
Common
this
air.
Yeah,
Common air.
Okay, we're coming up on another 20 minutes. Let's go.
Yes,
Let's go.
If you,
End it now.
if you find yourself
Make
in
it
the
stop.
general Berwyn area, make sure you come out to Cabra.
Will you let me say something nice?
Yeah.
Let me say
please.
something nice. No, I just can't tell you how much we appreciate you stopping
Oh,
out.
we appreciate you guys for having
That's
us.
what I was going to say. It's romantic.
Really? But it's also, you guys are doing good
The
work.
Untappd comment.
Thank you.
The fact that you are going and visiting there's small businesses, there's people behind it, and you're going and talking, hearing them out. We're all trying to do something creative. We're all trying to do something original. The fact that you would sit and listen to me talk, listen to Chuck talk, listen to new Chuck
Sorry
talk.
about that.
Yeah,
You're
it's
fine.
it's good work that you're doing, and I just sincerely appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Aw.
Yeah,
Well
thank
done.
You.
Great
Thank
job.
you. So
You are
much.
my favorite.
Thank
thing.
you.
Great job, team.
Thank you. Good job, team.
Well, I mean, you guys are doing a hell of a thing too. You have something fantastic set up. You've created a business around integrating the beer and the food and the service, which is awesome because so many times you see, oh yeah, we serve
And-
beer. Here's some food.
being gran vecinos.
Exactly, being good neighbors.
I hope you feel like
Great
we're good
neighbors.
neighbors too.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Like a good neighbor.
State
Doing
Farm
great.
is there.
No.
Oh, why did you do that? You
Come on!
All right, we're Jamie.
fucking band.
Let's drink out of barrels.
That was Wayne.
Ooh, all right, now we're talking.
Play that funky music. Play that
saying.
funky
Just saying.
music, white boy.
Well, unfortunately, my friends, this brings us to the end of another episode of
Dan wants
Beer
some
Busters.
barrels.
Barrels were mentioned.
Let me in the barrels.
I'm
Sorry
all
about
in.
that.
We all know how much I love barrel-aged
Take me to
beers.
the barrels.
Yes, take me to your barrels. Yeah, if you find yourself in Berwyn, make sure you come out to Le Cabra
You can
because
take the train here.
you could take the train here.
Simcoe hops too.
Yes, they have Simcoe hops you can sniff. There's a lot of good food, a lot of good beer. Get the pork belly burger, even if you're a vegetarian. Just say fuck it for a day, and get that beer. Get that burger.
Not how it works.
That is absolutely how it
Great
works.
tagline. That's true.
Chuck, Dan, thank you for having us out here, guys.
Thank you.
Pleasure always. Thank you guys.
Well, I am Dan Baker, joined as usual by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
and the demented and fermented
Way bigger.
Squids.
Are we still talking about flour?